Hello and welcome. It has been quite a while. Before all of this, I just want to say it's a very special occasion here that Curtis and I are joining. Of course, none of us planned on getting together, but until we woke up and you're like, Curtis, it's Mario Day. We have to record something. So, Curtis, how are you feeling on this Mario Day?
I'm feeling great. Out here in the Mushroom Kingdom, it is bright and sunny. There are Goombas aplenty, and honestly, it's weird. I'm standing here and I see it's like a white glove, and it's just like placing blocks everywhere. And it's mass hysteria. I don't really know what's going on.
Well,
Levels are being formed all around me. I need help.
Well, if you need someone to go wah wah in the background, I can be that guy on the new
Great,
Super Mario Brothers side.
awesome.
Okay.
Also, Luigi's here now, so
Oh yeah,
everything
that's
is
right.
better.
Yes, it is, and apparently 3D World, but not 3D,
hmm
is there. That's something I think
I
we'll
think
probably talk about, but
I think the best way to start a podcast is to mimic the way Nintendo Directs began. The way Nintendo Directs start.
well, how do we don't have an announcement? Can we have an announcement, or is it us just sliding down a hill and then not
hmm
getting
And then dying.
and then dying at a jump that you probably could have made without the slope, but
hmm
that doesn't make for a good trailer, I suppose.
I, um, if we're just gonna get right into it, I was very, very happy with the way that Nintendo Direct started a couple weeks ago. It was like a stand up off the couch and clap your hands moment.
Yeah. So again, it had been like rumored, like leaked or whatever, that Mario Maker 2 would be not like necessarily at the direct, but it would be like shown off this year or something like that.
Okay.
And so it was one of those where it was like, oh, okay, well, Mario Maker 2, okay, that might be coming, but no one expected it to be at this. One, nobody expected it to be in the direct, I don't think. And then two, no one expected it to be June when it would come out. Like that's kind of crazy
hmm
that it's going to be so close.
Yeah.
Uh,
So let me like ask you something slash make a statement.
okay.
I mean, so starting off, this is our first time recording together in a quite a while.
Over a year, maybe.
Um,
Well, no, we did.
yeah,
We did God of War spoiler cast
we
together.
did. We
So
talked about God of War.
yeah.
And so this is like kind of us getting like back in business,
Mm-hmm.
back in action.
Back in the groove, toe
Um,
jamming are
oh,
all.
purely because of
Sponsor.
Mario Maker, as it turns out.
Yes, exactly.
um, but the thing that I found interesting about this, and I guess like my question will come a little bit later, because uh, one of the things that we talked about when we talked about recording more is how I am like just because of the way my life is right now with work and various other things, I don't really see news at all.
Yeah,
Like, I am so just completely out of the loop.
sure.
But so I didn't realize that there was actually a rumor about Mario Maker 2,
Mm-hmm.
like shortly before the direct,
Yeah,
is my understanding.
yeah.
So the thing that came to mind for me is similar to Splatoon 2 and even Smash Brothers to a lesser extent, were these rumors around the time the Switch was announced that, oh yeah, we're gonna get, Splatoon remastered, or like Mario Maker Switch, but it's gonna be the regular Mario Maker just on Switch, or Smash Brothers, it's just gonna be Smash 4 but on Switch.
Deluxe
And
everything,
and
basically.
all of those turned out to just be, no, it's just a sequel.
Sure. Yeah.
And I wonder if for all of those games, I wonder if those rumors were just off, or if they were correct, and then just all of those games just at some point became sequels.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I
maybe.
wonder if the plan was to be. I mean, Splatoon 2 maybe would be more likely, where it was like, yeah, we'll just put Splatoon on there, and then at some point it just became a sequel.
Right.
I just say that because it's an earlier release, but like Smash Brothers very clearly was like, no, this is the new one, and Mario Maker appears to be, no, this is the new one. Like, where this is a sequel.
Yeah, I always still struggle with the Smash Brothers one because in some ways it's not a sequel, but in some ways it is the deluxe. Like it's heavy. I think you can kind of tell that it's heavily based off of Smash Wii U. But I think there is probably enough
Sure.
in there to say that it is a new game, especially bringing back everybody in the World of Light stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say with how big the World of Light mode is, like that alone
Sure.
is pretty insane. I have still not finished that. When I first got it, I got pretty close to the end, but I don't like. Have you played it or have you like seen the progression in that mode?
I've played only like when I rented it. I played only about maybe 2 hours or so of it.
Okay, so like it's super long for one.
Yeah,
I
it
think I'm
seems like that.
20 hours into it.
Oof.
But it keeps opening maps. Like it Link to the Past style. It's like, oh, you're in the Dark World now,
Right.
and it does that like 4 times.
Hmm.
So I'm in the like final map, but when I got there and I looked and like I zoomed out, I was just hit with this realization of, oh, I'm not even close,
Yeah.
and I haven't touched it since.
Yeah. How do you like that theme song, by the way? The
Oh, it's I still listen to it like on a daily occasion.
Yeah, I don't necessarily like the vocal version, I guess, but like
Really?
all the different versions of that song that play like on the main menu and stuff like that, like I love it. And this is coming from someone who did not like the Brawl and like Smash Wii U 3DS Smash main themes or whatever. Like I hated those. Like if I heard those one more time, but like all the different variations of that is it what's the name of the song again? Is it just Save the World or I don't remember now.
No, it's something light.
Something, yeah. I don't know.
I don't. Is it just called World of Light? I don't remember.
Maybe I don't know. Kirby,
Which is crazy because I literally listen to it like
really
all the time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Kirby Save Us, the song, the theme. Yeah, I didn't ever like with World of Light how and this was like when the game first came out that it was the characters you unlocked in the main game were different than the World of Light characters you unlocked. And that always
So it's called Lifelite.
Lifelight.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Never would have guessed that.
Yeah, I guess I didn't know that was.
So when I first started playing it, and I need to get back to playing Smash Brothers. There's so much else to be playing, but
Joker.
that would be a good reason to get back.
Yeah.
I no when I first started, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do World of Light first, and because if you unlock them there, then they're unlocked everywhere else. And I figured, I wanted to play it anyways, and that would be a good extra excuse to do it. I get what you mean though.
Oh, so
but I think
I'm sorry. If you unlocked
ahead.
them in World of Light, they're unlocked in the main?
yeah.
I
Yes.
did not know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was playing a lot of just the main stuff before I got into World
Yeah,
of Light.
and I think the logic is probably, I would assume, that in World of Light it's structured in such a way that you unlock them at specific moments.
Right.
So that's probably why they're not unlocked if you unlock them the regular way or the other way.
Right.
But if you do get them in World of Light, they are unlocked to use in any other mode.
Okay. Gotcha. I did
Yeah.
not know about that. Cool.
Yep. So that's cool. And then, like for me with World of Light, because I didn't finish it, I think actually in my World of Light save file, there's still like 1 or 2 characters that I don't have. But when I got that close, I just like was playing arcade mode just to unlock the last few,
Right.
just to have them.
Yeah.
Fun game. But anyways, so Nintendo Direct. So like Mario Maker 2 was announced. So you were saying, and I saw this after the fact, but I didn't read up too much on it. It sounded like there was a rumor not just about Mario Maker, but about like a few different things, like shortly before the Direct happened.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. There was the rumor that there was going to be a new 2D Zelda, but they did not know that it was going to be Link's Awakening.
Which again, another interesting like rumor from the past that comes back and is like not exactly what we had heard. Because if you remember, several years ago, there was a rumor that Link's Awakening was going to be a 3DS remake.
Yep.
We'll get there, but yeah, again, so it's like here's this rumor from around the time the Switch was coming out that ended up being true, but not quite what was originally reported, which I always find interesting.
So one of the other things they predicted was like a week before, and it was the exact date and like time of the Direct.
Okay.
They had predicted. So some of the things they also said was it was Mario Maker 2, a new 2D Zelda game, apparently Pikmin 3, Metroid Prime trilogy, and they also confirmed and the other I guess bigger leak was that
Wait, Pikmin 3?
Yeah, that Pikmin 3 was going to get a Switch port.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's part of the leaks and all that.
Okay.
And then the other, I guess, big one then would be Box Boy. Bye Bye Box Boy
Yeah.
was going to be there. So, but those were the main ones. It looks like so, but
Okay.
they still
So
say that Metroid Prime trilogy is coming. I guess but they don't. They never said that they will be
yeah.
exactly in this direct. They just said,
Well, I mean, if I
they're
remember,
coming.
if I correct me if I'm wrong, but I felt like the rumor I read was that it's like basically ready,
Yeah, that's kind of what it sounds like. They're just kind of sitting on it.
and they're just waiting for the right time. So it's like Mother 3.
Exactly. Well, you know,
Yeah.
Reggie's got a little bit of time left.
God, what
And,
a what an unfortunate.
yeah.
A friend of mine texted me
Mm.
when he announced that he was retiring, and he only all he texted me was like all caps Reggie no, and I read it and I immediately knew. Immediately, I was
yeah.
like, oh no, he's out.
Hmm.
He's- it couldn't be anything else because
Yeah.
Reggie's invincible, so he's never, he'll never get sick.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
but I was like when I read that text and I immediately knew. So that's a bummer.
Yeah.
That is like, I mean, it's his replacement is like too good.
Exactly.
It's too
yeah.
good to script that. But
Yeah.
so Mario Maker 2 got announced. I don't think we're gonna go over like all the Nintendo Direct stuff, but maybe some key highlights. What did you like? I'm pretty excited about it. I didn't play too much of the Wii U version.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you did. You play any of the original?
I don't think I ended up ever playing any. I did not have a Wii U. And I didn't play it at a friend's house or anything.
Okay.
And this is, of course, the biggest thing I have trouble with is that I see Mario Maker and I'm like, man, this is so cool. But then there's the part of me that I cannot stand 2D Mario games.
Oh.
I cannot stand them. I think they are
well,
terrible.
I mean, the good thing. Well, the good thing is that Mario 3D World is in it now.
That is true.
Still 2D. So it's so funny that like a long time ago, a friend and I we were discussing like what we would want out of a Mario Maker 2. And one of the things that I talked about is like, or I was talking to him about was I want. So we were like we were discussing whether or not it would be possible to do like a 3D Mario Maker.
Mm-hmm.
And I just like I was like it's probably way too difficult, like that'd be insane. It just wouldn't happen. But my hope was that we would get a Mario Maker based on 3D World, because those games, while 3D, the level design is like kind of like blocky and like grid based almost.
Yeah, it is.
And so like it lends itself to like having a modular design where you can just put pieces together. And so that was my hope, was that we could get that and have it be 3D levels. I know it's not, Super Mario Odyssey necessarily, but like, and I never played 3D World on the Wii U, to be fair, but 3D Land on 3DS was like really, really good.
I really like that game. Yeah.
And so I was hoping for that. So I guess I got like half of it, maybe.
Well, do you think there's still a chance that they'll rotate that
like
camera out, like they're gonna do
Yeah.
something as a reveal?
Maybe not. I could see it being like going into the screen.
Okay. Yeah.
Kind of deal. Like
Yeah.
I think that's a legit chance, because if you look at like the Mario 3D World like template in Mario Maker 2, it does have like there's definitely some depth.
There's like
there.
that bullet bill that's shooting out, and
Yeah,
whatever.
like stuff like that is cool. I think that's probably their way of like. I mean, honestly, like it probably is like ridiculously hard to do like a 3D level creator.
Yeah, but
So I think that's probably like the bullet bill coming into the screen is probably like a sign of some of the concessions
right.
that they were like, okay, we can't do this, but we can do some other cool things to kind of represent that game.
Yeah.
Which I think is pretty exciting.
But yeah, I mean, as somebody who had recently just tried to play New Super Mario Brothers on the DS and the Wii one, and then because New Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe sparked me to want to play that a little bit, and I was like, let me see, I'll try to give this another shot. Still think it's terrible. I think it's clunky. It's not fluid. And then, of course, I went and played a real platformer in the name of Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze with Funky Kong, and I was like, this is how you actually make a 2D video game that's not repetitive and doesn't say wah wah every minute. But yeah, I see Mario Maker and I get really excited. I want to try it out, but then I just remind myself that I'm like, I mean, maybe Mario 3 and Mario World I like, but Other than
I'm
that,
hoping.
yeah.
I hope that with Mario Maker 2, it does become like the platform it needs to be, where we get like frequent updates and other things. I'm genuinely shocked at the release date.
Yeah, me too.
Uh, I was like thrilled, but also just beside myself.
Um,
um,
I watched. You and I were fans of Easy Allies. I watched their
yeah,
friend code. Did you watch theirs
yeah,
at
yeah.
all? So I think it was Kyle who brought up a great point. Do you think they're going to charge for Switch Online for this game to do
Oh yeah, yeah.
levels?
I was listening to that the other day, and
Yeah.
I it was just like, yeah, it was just definitely a moment of, oh yeah,
Right. Yep.
maybe. What was
Yeah.
funny, so we'll get to it, but I in DMC5, I don't really know the specifics of it, but there is some kind of co-op thing in that.
There's some online thing. Or, yeah.
I don't know exactly what it is. I've never read up on it. But I had to like eventually turn off a setting because every time I would start a mission, it would like take me out to the PlayStation Plus sign up page
Oh.
and be like, "Hey, you need to be signed up." And I'm like, What? I'm just trying to play.
Yeah.
What is happening?"
Yeah.
So eventually I had to turn that setting off. But I could see it. I mean, honestly, like I'm not signed up to PlayStation Plus or Switch Online right now. Um, I'm kind of starting to feel the pull to Switch Online just because I want to play Tetris 99.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Which is maybe a weird way, or a weird reason for
It's
it.
a little Trojan horse they released in that Nintendo Direct, I think.
But it's such a good idea. Like I am in love with the concept of that game.
Yeah.
I think it is so like, oh my god, I could go on about that forever.
Yeah.
But I haven't even played it, so you know.
It-
I mean, it's Tetris.
Yeah.
But I think it's a really good idea, and it's cool. It's a cool like shadow drop announcement.
Yeah, and they had a lot in this Nintendo Direct,
Yeah.
which Nintendo always does really good at, having a couple things.
It's a
that,
really
hey, you can
solid
do right
Direct.
now. Yeah, I think it was. Of course, the other big one, the I guess we'd say penultimate announcement, would being Astral Chain.
So let me ask you, how long into this trailer did it take for you to know who it was making it?
So I don't know if it hit me until the very end, but I just
Okay.
was watching it and I was like, this style, this combat, like animation, like it looks really familiar. Like I don't know why I couldn't, like I was like, this just looks really familiar. But then yeah, when the platinum logo showed up.
Yeah. So my progression through this trailer was really interesting because the beginning of it, before we really saw like what the combat actually was, there was the beginning of it was like, oh, what is this weird thing? I'm not sure what to think of it. And then there was like the first few like glimpses of combat, and I like it was pretty early on where for me I was like, this looks like a platinum game.
Yeah.
And then slowly it became, this is definitely platinum. This looks awesome. And then again, like Mario Maker, that release date, like what?
It's August, wasn't it?
August, yeah, like out of nowhere, which is awesome. And we were talking about it too. Like Platinum is working on a lot
Yeah, they got a
right
lot.
now.
Yep.
The realization I had, so it's like Babylon's Fall, it's Astral Chain, it's apparently Scalebound,
Yeah.
possibly.
Yeah.
What a weird rumor that is, and then Bayonetta 3, and
Yeah.
probably something else. But the realization I had last night actually is, so Astral Chain, the director, I don't remember his name, but it's the guy who is the director of Nier Automata.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. I wonder if it's co-director, because I mean it's not Yoko Taro.
Right. Yeah. I know what you
Who
mean.
who I knew of as the director, but I wonder if at least on Platinum side it was the director
Right.
of that game. But I had the realization last night that oh, maybe that means that Platinum isn't, like, because we know Nier 3 is happening. We know it's like probably in development right now.
Mm-hmm.
At least last I heard. So it made me wonder if like, oh, maybe Platinum actually isn't involved, or maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, then
I would hope that the main guy at Platinum for Nier Automata would be working on Nier as well.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, and they, people always kind of seem to jump from different projects and different franchises and stuff.
And if I've ever learned anything from Tetsuya Nomura, you can work on like 5 at a time. and everything will be okay.
Eventually, it'll take
Yeah.
8 years, but eventually,
But eventually it'll be fine.
yeah.
So other things, so yeah, Astral Chain. I think it looks. I'm pretty pumped for that. What did you think of it?
I was just kind of like, I don't know.
Okay.
It didn't super grab me. I just thought it looked kind of cool and whatever, but I don't see myself playing it, I guess.
Okay. Cool. Let's see. So we'll save the big one for last.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you're not a huge Fire Emblem fan before we recorded, so we don't have to
Correct.
talk too long about it. I'm pretty excited. I haven't like the first Fire Emblem I played was the last one, Fire Emblem. Oh, not
Is it Fates?
is it Fates? Fates, yes. And I played Birthright.
Yeah, because there were
So that
two
was
of
the weird
them.
one because there was two, and then there was like an epilogue.
Right.
So I never played the epilogue. I just played Birthright, and I liked it. I didn't play the other ones just because of time. Really,
Yeah.
it wasn't anything against the game. I'm excited that this is just one package again. That's nice. But talking about songs, so like Fire Emblem Fates, like the theme song for that, is another one that is like in the loop of video game music I listen to all the time.
Hmm.
It's good. It's good stuff. Other than that, before we get to like the big one, is there anything else in the direct that like jumped out that you wanted to talk about?
Not too much. I was trying to just think off the top of my head, like, Captain Toad is getting new DLC.
That's cool.
That was kind of cool. The kind of going back and supporting a game like that. We have some other like third-party games coming. Mostly like Hellblade is coming to Switch, and that looks fairly decent on Switch. But there were some other third-party games they showed that looked kind of rough. I knew we had loosely talked about Dragon Quest XI that I didn't think looked great. Then they like just the other part, like they showed like Dead by Daylight's coming to Nintendo Switch. It's just like, that does not look good at all.
The crazy thing about Dragon Quest XI, and the more that like in the moment, I was losing my mind because that was when they announced that the Switch release is getting the like orchestrated soundtrack, and then also the Switch release would have the game in Japan they had a PS4 version, and then it came out on 3DS, and the 3DS version had two different like modes, I guess. So one was the typical kind of 3D Dragon Quest that we've seen in I think Dragon Quest 7 on 3DS, Dragon Quest 8 on 3DS. So it had that mode where it was like kind of low poly 3D models and like kind of more not top down but like isometric, I guess,
Right.
sort of. But then there was also a mode you could switch to, which was like 8-bit pixel art.
Okay. Yeah, that was like the 3DS.
Yeah, and so it was 3 different versions of that game, and they were all like 1-to-1. So on Switch, it's not getting the like the middle one, but it's getting the 8-bit one. So that I still think is super cool, and that might, man, I've spent a lot of time in that game, and I played it through twice to completion, like true ending and all, and that's a crazy amount of time. And I really thought like I was done with it, but the 8-bit version might get me.
Yeah, that's cool.
The orchestrated thing I thought was pretty crazy at the time, but I think it's only field music and battle music. So granted, it's two of the most commonly played tracks in the game, but having like this the first time I played through it, I was kind of whatever about the complaints about the music. The second time, I'm still a little whatever about it, but it's definitely like the second time playing through it, for me it was definitely like this should be so much better. It's because like the first time I played, I was like, okay, yeah, like it sucks that it's not orchestrated, and I get it, and like it's weird playing like an HD, like fully HD, like really really good looking game with music that's all like MIDI quality. That's weird. But I think the biggest thing about the music, that more than just the quality, is the actual use of it. So like you'll have like dramatic cutscenes where it'll be playing music that just does not fit the vibe at all. And so for me, it's like it's cool that they're orchestrating those two tracks, like the field and the battle, but that's not going to fix, I think, the thing that is most wrong about the music in that game.
Okay.
Which is like there's a specific sequence like a I don't know if it's not necessarily halfway through the game, but it's like it's a fight sequence between your character and like a villain, and they're fighting. It's actually the sequence in the like opening video that plays when you sit at the menu. Um, and so they're fighting in the rain like with swords and everything, and the music is playing just completely could not be worse for that moment. um, and it's one of those things that's like playing through the second time, it really highlights. Yeah, this is rough. Especially when you're like when I'm playing it between like Red Dead Redemption 2 at the time, or now like Kingdom Hearts 3, or even DMC 5 now, where it's like the music in those games is used to like a really like it's used professionally, we'll say. Like
Right.
it actually makes sense why they're playing certain music or things or certain like notes are being hit during cutscenes. So yeah, that's not really something being addressed in the version, but on Switch, like being able to play an 8-bit and just on the Switch itself, like it's very enticing. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, and when is it? It's like this September or something like that?
I think so.
Okay. Definitive edition, even.
Yeah. I will say I'm not like angry about it. I know some people it sounded like I haven't really not that I have a lot of time to read up on these things, but it sounded like people were upset about it because it was unclear if it was going to come to the PS4 version or not, specifically the music.
Right.
I think it probably will. I imagine it probably will, but or maybe it won't. I don't know. The composer is apparently pretty strict about the use of his music, so maybe it won't. But I'm not like angry about it either. I mean, that game, music issues aside, I more than got my money out of it. Like I spent multiple hundreds of hours with that game across 2 playthroughs.
Right.
I'm not upset.
Yeah.
Like it's fine.
The Japanese and the English release.
Yeah. Oh, and it is cool that it's getting a Japanese dub.
Oh yeah, I had heard about that. Yeah.
Neat. I think that's the first time ever. I'm pretty sure. For any Dragon Quest game.
Huh. Well, that's neat.
Maybe. Well, spin-offs aside, I don't know if the spin-offs have had it or not. But I think for the mainline Dragon Quest games, it's the first time that's ever happened.
Okay.
Yep.
But then of course there's the big last one.
Yeah. Oh my god.
So you asked me about Astral Chain. How long did it take you to realize that it's a platinum game? Link's Awakening took about like 2 seconds. Mm-hmm. I right off the bat when I saw it, I was like, I know what this is.
It took me so perhaps it helped that I didn't have like I didn't see the rumor that it popped up again.
Yeah.
It took me maybe like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Even still, but my reaction was I saw it and I went, please don't be 3DS. Please don't be 3DS. Please don't be 3DS.
Sure.
Because I thought back to the rumor from like 3 years ago. But I was very happy. I was very, very happy about this. I'm stoked.
Art style.
Link's Awake. I love it. I love the way it looks. How are you feeling about that?
I don't know. I'm indifferent on it. It's kind of like it's still more of like the Link to the Past, Link Between Worlds kind of Link, but then just with a I don't know. It remind me, and people have made this comparison before, but very 3D Game Heroes.
See, I don't think. I'm not sure I'm with people on that comparison. Because 3D Game Heroes, like, yeah, the perspective is the same. And it's definitely pretty bright and cheery in the way 3D Game Heroes is. But 3D Game Heroes is also, like, voxels and very, very pixelated. This is more like plasticky. I don't know if plastic's the right word. But there's a different texture, I think, to this game.
It looks claymation almost.
Claymation might be the better... That might be the better term.
Yeah.
I think it. Yeah, I definitely think there's a pretty striking difference.
Okay.
So I'm not sure I totally understand the comparisons, at least on this specific graphical style.
Sure.
But nonetheless, so Link's Awakening. It is the best 2D Zelda game. So not really up for discussion on that end.
Chat
I
has been
love
muted all of a sudden. No,
yeah,
it's okay.
I love the intro, like the I guess, cinematic intro, or the animated intro they have
Yeah,
at the beginning of the trailer. Like it would be cool if there was more of that in the game.
sure.
Um, I yeah, this is maybe like my most anticipated release of the year now.
Oh wow,
I'm
yes.
stoked. I'm ready.
Just 2019. I could see this being November, I think.
It'll probably. I think it'll probably be around the same time as Pokemon.
Yeah.
Would be my guess.
Um
Which sounds crazy, but Nintendo is like been just totally fine just releasing major games around the same time.
right.
So,
And I remember playing a little bit of Link's Awakening on Game Boy. I think I had it on color or whatever. I think I had the color version. I remember not getting very far.
okay.
But I remember the one thing I remember for some reason is needing to buy the shovel, and I was like very early in the game, and I literally just went off screen and just whacked these bushes over and over and over again, like grinded for hours and hours and hours to get rupees one at a time so I could buy the shovel. And then I bought the shovel and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess that's it. Like, I was so young, I didn't really even know what I was doing at the time. But I've heard.
It reminds me. So my not to be too much on a tangent. When I was like in second grade, I had surgery, and so I was out of school for like 8 weeks, and my dad was working at a toy store at the time, and so one of his coworkers offered to let me borrow his PlayStation 1, and it came with a copy of Final Fantasy 7.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, I'd never heard of Final Fantasy before. Like I was 8 or 9 years old, so it was maybe like a couple years before I started really like reading up about other games outside of whatever I just bought or whatever my parents would buy me at the store, or Pokemon, or whatever some kid was bringing in on their Game Boy at school. So I remember playing it, and I never got past. So if you think about the intro to Final Fantasy VII, you jump off of the train, and you like run up, and then you kind of like you talk to some people, and you go into the reactor or whatever.
Right.
I never actually went inside.
Oh, huh.
I would play it. I'd play it for like 5 minutes each time and be like, okay, I'm gonna figure out what to do. And I don't know why. I honestly don't know why I couldn't figure it out, because there's nothing difficult there. You just
Yeah.
talk to somebody.
Right.
But for whatever reason, I couldn't figure it out, and I would run up and down next to the train and just go, I don't know what's going on. And then I would play I don't remember what fighting game it was. I don't know if it was like Virtual Fighter or something, but there was a fighting game he let me borrow as well, and I can't remember.
Star Wars Masters of Terraskazi.
Yeah, that was it.
That was it.
So, anyways, Link's Awakening. So I mean, you didn't finish all of it. Do you know like
Yeah,
the story beats and stuff?
I know the main ending spoiler.
Okay,
I would
so we don't
say.
need to talk about that. But
Yeah.
one thing that's really exciting for me is, so when I played Link's Awakening, it was on the 3DS. It was the DX version.
Mm-hmm. When you were an ambassador, I assume.
When I was I think so. I think that actually was the case. Yeah.
Okay.
And or no, actually I don't think it was. I think it was after the fact. I got another 3DS.
Okay.
I had to like rebuy some of the games. That was weird. But anyways, one of the things that's most exciting for me is when I was playing it, I realized there's a lot of things about the original version that does not age very well. So you have, because it's on a Game Boy, you have 2 buttons. And so to switch, you have a pretty wide arsenal of tools and weapons to use as Link. Imagine that.
Yeah.
So to switch in the game, you have to like enter the pause menu.
Yeah.
Re-equip different things, and so it's this, and you're also like switching rooms a lot. And the way the world is structured is you need to be switching equipment to like cut through a bush or open up a pathway or like use a bomb to or whatever. And so you're constantly switching in and out, and it's pretty rough. I think it speaks to the game's quality that that's not as big of a deal as it could have been. But I'm super excited about the potential of not having to do that.
Yeah.
Of having more buttons to use to easily be able to swap between things like on the fly, like not have to go into a menu. That's really exciting to me. From the trailer, it looked like it wasn't going to be separate screens either. It looked like it would just follow you, like camera would.
Yeah.
Which is exciting. And then you brought it up before, but I think on the Easy Allies podcast they talked about how there are certain things that they had to do on the Game Boy to make that game run. Certain like concessions they had to make, and so it's exciting to think that there might be like things that they could go back and change to their original vision because it's on the Switch now.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm pretty pumped. What do you? I mean, is this it? Is this your time to go back and finish the fight?
Well, yeah, we'll get to that maybe later. I don't know. I really have not been interested in Zelda, really. I mean, I love stuff like Wind Waker. I really like Twilight Princess. And then I really fell off of it for a long time. Like, I'd beat stuff like Minish Cap and Spirit Tracks, but like Skyward Sword didn't really grab me at all, and I played a little bit of that. I had never really been interested in like Zelda Wii U and then Breath of the Wild. I don't know why. That's that kind of that game just didn't really grab. Like, there was nothing about looking at Breath of the Wild, and I was like, man, I really want to play this. And I feel like this is maybe the same way that it's just probably part of there's just so many games out and so many things to play that I just don't really have this itch to be like, I'm gonna go play Link's Awakening again. I don't know. I'm probably not going to, but we'll see. Never say never.
Well, we'll see if we can change it.
Yeah.
Over the course of the year.
Sounds good. Yes.
Well, I will say, like, the last thing I'll say about this game is I think it's one of the things that you'll hear a lot about it is it's just weird. I mean, Majora's Mask is like similar in its weirdness,
right?
And it's like, whereas Majora's Mask is like a very dark kind of weird. This is more of a cheery kind of like. I mean, story aside, obviously, you know, the ending is maybe not like super lighthearted, but like being in a world in a Zelda game where like you're running into Goombas and there's a chain chomp and there's like a Yoshi crane machine.
Yep.
It's weird. It's odd. But it kind of fits a lot of the tone in that game.
Yeah. Which
is really cool.
Yep.
And so I'm very happy about this.
For sure. Yeah.
I hope I've been really wanting a 2D Zelda game on the Switch, and so I mean, it's awesome that we're getting this as like a remake. I do hope that we eventually get like a new 2D Zelda game on the Switch at some point.
I think we will.
Yeah.
I would assume like, you know.
Do we know who's making this? The Link's Awakening.
So I was gonna assume it's like the.
Is it the Between Worlds?
I would assume it's the Link Between Worlds team. I would guess because, I mean, they're always kind of that. It always kind of seems to be like two Zelda studios. Like there's the main team making the new one, and then even though, you know, we had Link Between Worlds, and then we had the spin-off Triforce Heroes that came out. Remember that game?
Yeah.
And then, so I would assume this is their new game, I guess. But who knows? Cool. I don't know.
Okay. Well, the other thing, so this happened, was it a week later? Or was it,
no,
is it 2 weeks now?
So the EA thing, is that what you're talking about with E3?
No, I'm talking about the Pokemon.
Oh, right. I'm sorry. Pokemon. Yeah, it was like a week and a half later. Okay. I think maybe 2 weeks. Yeah.
So we all know that Pokemon is too good for Nintendo Directs.
Right. Yes.
So yeah, I guess it was a week. I don't remember, but we got a Pokemon like 7-minute Nintendo Direct.
Yeah, it was so weird.
Which was announcing Gen 8 of Pokemon. So it's Pokemon Sword and Shield. Which Collin, quick, what's your hot take on the title?
I like it. I think it's good. I think it's I like it better than like X and Y or Sun and Moon.
Me too. And if the rumors that I've heard are accurate, or the rumors I was reading about, if those are accurate, I like it even more, because Pokemon, their subtitles aren't always indicative of like features in the game. I think maybe more so now than earlier games, like Red and Blue wasn't necessarily like talking about features in the game, whereas, you know, Sword and Shield, if rumors are to be believed, might actually have like implications for new things in Gen 8, which is pretty cool.
So,
So like armor
well,
on Pokemon or something.
I was gonna. Is it time for Pokemon to stop doing this? Stop
The two game thing?
Yes, stop doing that.
No, it's never not time for one very obvious reason.
Because people will buy it both times.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like it's so weird. Like they're still doing it, like they did it with Pikachu and Eevee last year.
Yeah.
I was like, they're still doing this. I don't know.
The Pikachu and Eevee thing. I guess maybe that would be the one where it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't mind it too much because, and I guess we'll see. Like, generally, the differences aren't so astronomical that I feel like I have to get both. I know a lot of people do, but I think it works well because it does feed into the you get one, your friend gets the other kind of thing, and
Right.
and that has always been enough for me. And I think it also, like, there's something to be said about not just the two versions, but the three starters. And you always see it, the kind of like the debate between people, like immediate of like, oh, which one's better, sword or shield? Like, and he's like, my brother messaged me like not long after the announcement. He's like, who's gonna buy shield? Which I thought was funny.
Mm-hmm.
But you see with the starters as well, you know, like Score Bunny is clearly the best, and or Sobble, or like there was like I feel like this is two gens in a row that the water starter is just like the butt of the joke.
Yeah.
Sobble is the new one, and then last time it was, oh, I'm blanking on the name.
Well, of course we all
water
knew.
Starter.
We knew. Oh, yeah, because that was the one that I liked. I think more than.
Yeah, it was like the seal, right? With the.
Yeah, what was that name?
Well, it'll
I'll look this up.
So, anyways, Pokemon Sword and Shield. This Gen 8's coming out this year, probably November. Or did they say? I don't think they gave a date, right? It was just
I
like.
think they just said this year, I assume. Because it was very much. Is it Poplio?
Poplio, that's it.
Yep, that's him. Yeah,
Yep.
see, that thing looks cuter than
Yeah.
anything. Yeah, it was. That Pokemon Direct was a very much get in and get out kind of.
Which is how it's
thing.
been. Like, Sun and Moon was kind of treated the same way.
Yeah.
Was like I think that was like a 3-minute direct.
Oh, jeez.
And that one I don't remember if we saw the starters in that one. I think the starters might have been a later reveal.
Okay.
But anyways, so Sword and Shield out later this year. We've seen the three starters. We've seen the world map. I don't remember. Is it the Galar region?
Yeah.
Or something? It was like countryside and cities.
Something with a G. Yeah.
There's some shots of like mechanical stuff going on. You see some gears moving, which could be kind of interesting. I think so. Like, I personally, one thing I've seen recently over the past several weeks, as I've been trying to be more keyed in on like video game news, is I have my reaction and then I look online, and it's a different reaction.
Right.
So in this case, I was very pleased with the way this game looked. I was very happy with it. I watched the trailer and I was just sitting there like on the bus going, oh my god, this is everything I want.
Yeah.
And then I went online and it was maybe a bit more split. But I mean, like, I'm gonna play it. Obviously, like I'm there day one. I'm pretty pumped. Score Bunny is probably my go-to right now.
The Galar region.
I'm curious about. So it seems like gym battles are back, which is interesting. I'm curious about. There's some shots of like in the trailer of your character walking into like a big stadium. And they're wearing like a uniform. So I think that could be interesting as to what that even is.
Team Rocket.
Yep.
Team Rocket uniform. I don't know.
It looked like a sports uniform.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I don't know. What do you think?
I think I'm happy for the people that like Pokemon.
Great. How do you feel about Detective Pikachu? I think that's the more pressing question.
I might see that. I think that actually looks pretty funny.
I think I am convinced that movie can do no wrong.
Yeah, I don't.
Please don't let me down.
I don't know. There's something about that movie that I think I would enjoy watching it because a lot of it seems to be the Gen 1 Pokemon people, I guess,
Yeah,
and
there's
Pokemon
some...
people.
Yeah.
But yeah, I a lot of them I recognize, but I don't remember their names. Most of them.
Mm-hmm.
But
Right.
yeah.
Oh man, I hope that movie doesn't let me down. I feel like the two trailers we've gotten so far have just been as perfect as you can get for what that movie is. I'm hopeful.
Yeah, I haven't
Very
watched.
hopeful.
I haven't watched the second one, but I watched
Okay.
the first one.
So hey, second one's got Mewtwo in it.
Oh good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh good.
Here's the thing though. So I wonder if that game's going to follow the story of the game, or that game. I wonder if that movie is going to follow the story of the Detective Pikachu game. I didn't play the Detective Pikachu game, but I watched like the cutscene movie that was on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
And it ends on a pretty crazy cliffhanger.
Is it
Like
like
this-
everybody, like Detective Pikachu
So-
is actually a human, but everyone else is
No,
a
so like
Pokemon?
the story just straight up doesn't well. Are you gonna put timestamps in this?
I can, yeah.
Do you care about Detective Pikachu game spoilers?
I don't know, man. I might have to think about this.
Okay.
No, I don't.
Okay, so it seems like this is the premise for the movie as well, but I am hoping that the movie goes a little bit of a different route for this, because in the Detective Pikachu game, the premise is the kid you're playing, his dad is a famous detective, okay, but he's missing, and so you run into Detective Pikachu. Or you run into Pikachu. He's like, I don't think he necessarily goes by that name, but you follow him around and you start solving mysteries, and a grander mystery is starting to unravel. But it is the most it's the most blatantly obvious thing that Pikachu is his dad. Like, at least in the game.
Okay.
Like, it is so insane. Like, I can't. It's crazy how obvious it is. Like on it, like there are stories where it's like, oh, I saw that twist coming from a mile away. This is like coming from like, you take a few laps around the Earth, like it like just. It's to the point where it's like, is this a joke? Like, are they playing it to be that obvious, and then there's a twist that it's not?
Yeah.
The thing is, the game ends before revealing it, so it's still like the mystery is still up in the air by the end of the game.
Okay.
So it's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like, and so I think that they were planning to make more Detective Pikachu games, and I don't know if that's going to happen or not. So my hope is with the movie,
We'll see how the movie does, yeah.
they're smart enough to say, hey, we should. I mean, I'm sure the movie's going to do insanely well. Like, I don't doubt that it's going to do like amazing.
I'm sure it will. Yeah.
Numbers, but I'm hoping that they take a little bit of it. See, that's the thing too, is like, is that going to be the twist in the movie as well? I don't know. We'll see. I hope not. I hope it's different.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong.
A lot of video game, well, if you want to call it video game movies, they usually kind of take their own path through a lot of things, I guess.
Yeah.
So maybe.
I have really high hopes for it. I think even from the first trailer, like, it was always, oh, that's weird. What a weird thing to be making a movie about. And then I think as soon as the trailer hit and I watched it, like, my perception of that movie totally changed. So we'll see. It's coming out soon, so we'll talk about it.
Yeah, I think it's like May or something.
May 10th, yeah.
Oh wow. Somebody's counting down.
I'm counting. Yeah, it's only, well, I don't know how many days.
Oh.
2 months.
Yeah.
Actually.
Oh
Happy
yeah.
Mario
Well,
Day.
exactly. Yeah. Happy
Great.
Mario Day. Yeah. That.
So let's talk about E3. So a thing that's also happening in a few months.
Yeah.
Or is it happening?
I'd say it's still happening. I don't have to take too long on it, but basically,
What we could do is every show we can have is E3 happening?
or who's leaving E3 or
Yeah.
who's forgetting E3 is a thing.
Yeah. So let's do a recap. So last year, Sony announced that they were not going to be at E3.
Right.
No press conference. No booth on the show floor, no nothing.
Yep.
Not going to be there.
No even side event during
No,
E3.
yeah, not even like a, hey, we're not at E3, but come watch our stream.
Right.
Nothing.
Yep.
So that was crazy. And also led to a lot of rumors and speculation. But we haven't, other than that, we haven't heard a lot. I think shortly after that, if I remember correctly, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think Phil Spencer like tweeted like, "Oh, don't worry, we're still having our press conference."
Yeah, he was
that
basically
happened,
saying
right? I'm not making that up.
Yeah,
Right?
he was still
Okay.
saying they're going to be there. Yeah.
Okay, so that's still happening, and then fast forward to like a week ago,
Yep.
or within the past week.
Yeah, it was this past week.
What happened?
Well, basically, I think EA. I don't know if it was part of their EA Play announcement or it was just kind of like a press release, but they are not having a press conference during EA Play, which is usually the exact same time as E3.
And it's for the best, if we're being honest.
I think so. Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, I like press conferences, but yeah, that's probably right. But and this is even weird to say because I don't know if we ever ended up talking about this, but I actually thought EA's press conference was so much. It was probably their best press conference they've ever done. And that's not saying much.
It was still bad.
It was still bad, but I thought it was much better.
Yeah.
I think Square Enix had. If I had to rank them, I would have ranked Square Enix as
Oh my
worse.
god! I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, I would have said.
I still remember like watching that, thinking they can't be serious, right?
Right. Yeah, that was. Yeah, I don't know. I thought EA was maybe doing a little better. Like even just like the Unravel 2 announcement and just being like it's out, play it, that kind of stuff was neat.
Yeah, that was cool. So EA is not going to be. They're still having EA Play, which I think this year is it like Friday to Sunday now?
I didn't ever look up specifics, but I know they're going to be doing streams and stuff like that. Which almost makes me wonder if they're not even going to have like big reveal announcement stuff, but sometimes they didn't even really have that anyways, but
that's the thing, right? Is like the past several years they haven't really had much. The only thing about it, and this is something I guess we'll talk about next month. We had it on the news thing, but we cut it out. Was the Star Wars? What's the name? It's the Respawn's game.
Jedi Fallen
7?
Order.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's going to be at
Star Wars
an
Celebration
event next month.
Yes.
April 13th.
I don't remember the date, but yeah, whatever Star Wars Celebration is, it's going to be there.
Okay, so that's going to be there. I'm hesitant to believe it'll actually be there in like a significant capacity. I'm still like in the mindset of I know how EA announces games now.
Yeah.
And it's basically like 10 seconds of footage of a land.
Yeah, followed by a 50-minute panel talking about how much of a privilege it is to work on Star Wars.
It'll be like this like just decimated wasteland and a camera pans over and you have like a voiceover, and as it pans like the camera stops and it's like you're seeing the back of some guy in a coat, and he's just standing, and then you hear like the and the lightsaber comes down, and then Jedi Fallen Order.
I think the best thing they should do is when they're announcing it at the Star Wars Celebration, they'll be like, and back to Andrea Renee in the audience, and then Andrea Renee just talks to Vince Zampella again about like, yeah.
I think that alone like
we're here
made
a year
their press
ago.
conference maybe the worst
It was
in
so
existence.
it was so weird.
So anyways, they're not gonna have a press conference. So that's 2 down.
Yeah. So the other
it leaves
thing,
us, or go ahead.
So this is one big thing that I think sometimes people forget about, but Xbox technically wasn't at E3 last year. So Xbox had their Mixer booth on the E3 show floor, but their actual booth took place was still in the Microsoft Theater. So when people went to go play and stuff, they were in the Microsoft Theater still, not part of E3.
Well, and I think there's there's a weird perception between people who are there and people like us who watch online, because EA for several years has been, we're not at E3, we're having EA Play the weekend before. But to me, it's like, all right, no, you're at E3. Like, come on, don't be stupid about this. Like, yes, on a technicality, you're not, and you're doing your own thing, but you're scheduling the event right around E3 time, right before you're having a press conference. People are still coming, it's not. And so yeah, you're right. Like
Yeah.
they weren't, but at the same time they were.
Yeah, I agree.
And so but I think that's why it was important that Sony like clarified that when they said we're not going to be at E3, they meant like not like nothing.
Right.
Because I think a lot of people, you and myself included, were like, okay, but are they just going to have an event like Sony Play or something?
Mm-hmm.
And apparently they're not,
Yeah.
which is crazy. So Microsoft, we know, is still doing a thing. Um,
Nintendo,
Bethesda,
Ubisoft, I think still good to go.
Ubisoft probably will. Nintendo probably, well, yeah, I would imagine Nintendo would.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Bethesda might pull out this year? Just for this
Um,
year?
I don't know. I don't think so. I feel like they need to get back on the probably maybe the good graces of people, and I think
Yeah,
maybe
I
they
mean,
could
I
do
guess you can
something.
make, I guess you can make an argument for both, where you can make the argument of like, hey, they don't really have much coming out this, like they have Doom actually. They don't know, man. Now that I think about it, they actually do have stuff coming up. They've got the new Wolfenstein thing.
Yeah, they got two new Wolfenstein things because they got the VR Cyber Pilot thing, and then they also have Youngblood, which is co-op,
Yeah,
which is kind of like their
we've heard
old
nothing about
blood.
it.
Yeah.
So there's that, and there's Doom Eternal.
Yep.
Probably some kind of Elder Scrolls Online thing. But my thought is like Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6 are so far out. I can't imagine seeing anything for either of those.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Of
I
course.
mean, maybe my only hesitation with that is because they've actually talked about them officially. It might be weird for them to just ignore it.
Yeah.
um, but what I mean,
Well, so Prey has been getting like new DLC that just came out.
yeah,
Had like a VR mode too. Then of course there's the Arcane Paris studio or French Arcane studio for Dishonored.
yeah.
Haven't really heard anything from them. And then of course, yeah, we had Tango.
I mean, Evil Within DLC maybe.
But
Or something,
I
you know?
think that's over. What was that? 2017 that game came out.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
It,
That is true.
It actually
It's been
got
a
an
while.
update I think for Halloween last year. I don't know if you ever saw
Oh,
that. But yeah,
no.
it was like new like cheats and like a new harder difficulty, something like that. It got like a little
Cool.
bit of update content stuff.
Neat. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm hesitant now. I was thinking like there might be a good chance that they would pull out, but it depends on. I mean, yeah, you gotta think about where Fallout 76 is. Like if there's been enough time for them to start to like turn the boat around on that,
Yeah.
E3 would be a great place for them to come out and say, hey, we know.
Yeah.
Here's what we're gonna do to fix it. But the thing is, like, that's kind of what they did last year. Is they were like, hey, it's gonna be kind of messed up.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's insane to me. Like I used to be like really angry about Bethesda,
Yeah.
and I guess I've just kind of like softened a bit over time because like around Skyrim release, I would get like really angry about like the reviews for that game,
Yeah.
knowing that like one version was just completely broken.
Yep.
And it felt like it was being ignored at that time. But I think now, as time has gone on, it's not being ignored as much, and so Fallout 76 feels like, for good reason, and it feels like the first game where they've really experienced some significant backlash. And from what I understand, it's much more broken than any of their other games have
Yeah.
been.
Well, with it being online doesn't help.
For sure. For sure. But it's crazy to me that they just sat there for like 6 months and told us exactly what it was going to be. Like, exactly how broken it was going to be.
Yeah.
And I still think back and I still think that, like, what... I guess other than maybe money, like, was there a reason why... Or did they ever think about doing Fallout 76 as an early release game, or like a special beta, or something that was like, hey, we're gonna put out early release, you can pay like $30 for it or something, or you can sign up for the beta and it's a limited beta, and if you get in, great, and you're gonna help and you'll help us kind of like iron out things as we progress through this release, and like not really calling it 1.0. And just like I just wondered if that would have helped,
The
if
only
they could have been like, hey, like come with us on this journey as we're trying something new. I feel like they could have spun it differently instead of just like saying, hey, it's released 1.0, pay $60 for a game that's totally broken. and
So
and we know it's broken. We've been vocal about how broken it is. Like that was crazy to me.
so to me right now, I still think Bethesda recently is one of my favorite publishers out there,
Yeah,
because
for better and worse.
this is the one thing that I don't know if some certain people like understand. Like to me, there is a difference between Bethesda and Bethesda Game Studios,
Oh, absolutely,
and I don't
absolutely.
know if a ton of people realize that. So,
Hmm.
because like they had their whole campaign year and a half ago, whatever, was the whole keep single player alive,
Hmm.
all that stuff, and of course everybody thinks it's all gone because of Fallout 76. But it's like, yeah, you have Fallout 76, but you do still have all of these other single player, really well reviewed kind
And they're
of
still
games.
making, they still are publishing Doom Eternal,
Rage 2
and
is coming out in May.
oh, that's
Forget
right, I
about,
forgot about Rage.
yeah.
And I mean, in theory, Starfield was probably a single player RPG.
I agree.
Elder Scrolls 6 is probably a single player RPG.
Probably whatever, if they go for another Dishonored, or we had a single
Yeah.
player Evil Within, single player
There will
Wolfenstein.
probably be a Fallout 5 at some point.
Yeah,
Probably a long time from now, honestly.
I think it'll
but
be quite a while.
yeah.
But I still think, like, the publisher Bethesda still does great things.
Yeah, here's the
Um,
thing too, is like when they announced 76, like when Todd Howard was on stage talking about it for like 50,000 minutes,
right.
um, his story of like how that game came to be, like I totally buy it.
Mm-hmm.
Of
He's
them being like, hey, like wouldn't this be cool to like do? Like, and we just tried it. And like I don't necessarily like many, if any, like I'm okay. I kind of tolerate the Fallout games. Like I like the world enough to play the games, but I don't really like the Bethesda Game Studios style of game.
right.
But and so Todd Howard for me, I'm like, he's whatever, he's cool. I'm sure he's very good at his job.
Mm-hmm.
It would seem, but like, I totally buy everything he was saying, like about, like, hey, yeah, we just thought this would be a neat thing. Like we thought this would be cool, and we hope you like it. It seemed very authentic to me.
Yeah, I don't really like Bethesda games, like even from the Skyrims and then even Fallout stuff. But I mean, honestly, Todd Howard can get up and pitch me on any game, and like just the way
Sure,
he presents things and stuff like that, like that Fallout
he's very
4
good.
E3 thing that he was just up there for 30 more minutes, whatever that was in 2015, just talking about Fallout 4. Yeah, like
Yeah,
it was getting me excited about the game. I just feel like he conveys things really well. And I
yeah.
even knew, like, just even the weeks before, like 2 weeks before even Fallout 76 was coming out, it was just the Bethesda Twitter account started putting out like letters about
Uh-huh.
like basically trying to soften the blow. I think, like,
It was
just
pretty
like,
insane.
oh, we're still just we just value the community and just hope, thanks you guys for sticking with us, like very much kind of
Yeah,
like, what's all this about?
I yeah, it's I don't think I've ever seen anything like it.
Yeah.
I'm not shocked by it. I guess I'm shocked by like how blatant it was.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it was shocked. I imagine, or at least my perception was that someone at the studio was like, "Hey, let's just put it out as like an early release thing." You know,
Yeah.
that way if it's broken, we can just say, "Hey, it's early release, like it's early access. That's what happens,"
And
and people would maybe be more understanding of that. And then they could be vocal. They could put like dev logs and dev updates, and that could be kind of a cool thing coming from like a AAA studio.
and
But I'm imagining someone in a suit was like, "No, we're not doing that."
yeah, you got to get
Like,
you got to get this game out in November before Black Friday, all that kind of stuff.
yeah, like I'm sure there's like a ton of logistics involved as to why it couldn't have happened. But that was like the thought I kept coming back to, was like, why couldn't you have done that?
Well, so also in some ways, I think Fallout 76 is a failure, as you could probably imagine. But I mean,
Yeah.
that game charted NPDs.
Oh, sure.
Like,
I
it
mean,
was
the
like
name
maybe
the
even
name alone is
top
enough.
5, top 3 that month. Maybe, I don't really remember, but it sold really well.
So I mean, where are we at on thinking Bethesda for E3 this year? The more we talk about it, the more I think they're probably there.
I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say they're
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
I will say though, I mean,
Pete Hines will come out and make some jokes, and he'll be fine. You bring
I
Anti
guess I'm
WK back out, it'd be great.
yeah. I guess the only reason why we're even talking about this is because with Sony out, it was like, wow, that's a pretty big deal, and it still is. Um, but then I was like, oh yeah, maybe it's just them. I don't know. But now that now that EA's dropped two, it kind of feels like, oh, okay, this might actually be a thing where they might not be the only ones. And so it does make me wonder what E3 will look like this year. I guess we'll find out in the next month or two.
I did want to read from the EA website. It
Yeah.
is starts on Friday night, June 7th, 2019, with an all-new EA Play kickoff event. We're skipping the press conference this year and replacing it with multiple live streams that will air during the first 2 days of the event, bringing you more of what you told us you want, more gameplay and insights from the teams making the games. So there you go. Isn't that kind of what EA's press conference was like last year with Anthem at the very end?
Yeah.
It was like, then they just had a panel. They showed a trailer for
And
Anthem, and they just showed a panel for 30 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. I mean, the thing is, like,
Did
Anthem
you
just
see
came
PSX
out, so...
2 years ago?
Yeah, God. I don't know. It's weird. It's strange. I'm curious to see. I don't know. So I don't want to talk about E3 too much more.
Yeah.
But one question I did have, because I don't feel like I'm completely caught up on this. Am I understanding correctly that like we're pretty for sure seeing the new Xbox at E3 this year, like the next gen Xbox?
I don't know. There was the new rumors
It
about
just seemed like
the new Xbox One, if you heard about that recently.
no, I saw that. It
Yeah.
seemed like I thought a couple weeks ago I saw something about how so it's like I remember seeing a rumor pretty recently that like the next gen Xbox will be fall 2020, which is not surprising.
Right.
That's probably when PS5 is out as well. But I thought I saw a rumor that they were planning on talking about it at E3 this year.
They could, and I'm sure they probably are eager to start talking, especially, they mentioned it last year's E3 about we're working on the new generation or whatever.
It was Scarlet, right?
Yeah, that's like the new
But I think it
name.
sounds like it sounds like it's two consoles. Is that correct? Or it's like two like things?
Well, there's always the rumors about there's going to be a discless SKU, and
Okay.
I don't know.
All right. Well,
Multiple
sure I'm
versions. Well, okay.
caught up on what the expectation should be.
That was it, because it was something about when Phil Spencer said during last year's E3, he said something about the next Xboxes, not Xbox. Or it was
Okay.
weird, but it could have just been the way he said it, anything like that. But that was what got people thinking.
It'd be interesting, and I wouldn't be, like you were saying, I wouldn't be surprised if they're pretty excited to start talking about it.
Yeah.
And I mean, so like I saw something the other day, or I read something the other day, and maybe like this could just be completely like just BS, but I think the headline was something about how like they didn't show gameplay of Halo Infinite because of how good it looks, or something like that, because it's like a next gen game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they didn't even put a date on that.
but if like
either,
like if we're gonna see more Halo Infinite, like I would, it appears like that is a cross gen at the very least.
Yeah, I'd say so. And I mean, because I guess we would just assume Gears 5 is this fall for Xbox One. I thought maybe they would hold something like that, but
yeah,
doesn't look like it. But it'd be interesting.
I mean, I'm curious. I mean, I feel like the perception has been that while Xbox One still has some like big first party stuff coming out, like Gears, for instance, there's not like a lot. And I've always gotten the perception that they're kind of building the roster for next gen.
Yeah, I think Sony is too, kind of at the moment. Like,
Yeah.
what you have is what you have. And,
finishing up what they've got and then starting to prepare.
Yeah.
And I've definitely gotten that vibe from Xbox for a while now, which I think is like kind of, it can be kind of exciting. And I feel like it means that or at least I'm expecting them to come out very strong, at least on the first party front. And so I wonder if, like maybe come June we start seeing the first glimpses of that. But we have plenty of time to talk about that in the future.
I mean, I was going to mention, it's basically kind of what I felt like Nintendo did around
over in the Switch.
Like with 2015, 2016. I mean, you had like a Mario Tennis Ultra Smash, and then the Paper Mario Color Splash, and then we didn't really have anything else because you clearly knew that they were ramping up for that big first year, and even now with Switch games. So,
yeah, I mean, we're looking at a pretty strong like third year for Switch, it seems.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's talk about. I think that's all the news, right?
Yeah, I got nothing else.
You want to chat about some stuff we've been playing?
Sure. What do you want to talk about first? Your list is a little bit longer.
I can get some like a couple things off like really quick that aren't really that like are game related but aren't things I've been playing. So yesterday I started watching the Costume Quest TV show,
Yeah.
which is through Amazon Prime Video. So I want to look up to see like who all worked on this, because in the credits it's got some like doubles. It's like Double Fine features or something. But I mean, I'm curious to see who all has like worked on this show. It is quite good. So I've seen the first. So like each episode is there's 6 episodes. They're like 25 minutes each, but each one it's kind of like the cartoons that have like 11-minute episodes each.
Right.
Did that make sense?
Yeah, I know.
So I've seen the first 2 of like sets, so like 4 episodes, I guess. It's good. I like it a lot. The animation is cool. It's giving me some Gravity Falls vibes, for sure.
Yeah.
It actually kind of like some of the art style kind of reminds me of sort of Ditto in a way. Have you ever played that game last year?
I did not. I've heard about it though, but I did not play it.
It's cool. I never beat it. I want to go back and beat it one day. It's a neat game. But yeah, I like it quite a bit. There's some interesting things about it that are, because it is based on like an RPG, light RPG, I guess. Excuse me. Like some of the things in the show, the way they adapt, I don't know if mechanics is the right word. So for instance, the kids go to this like mysterious shop. They're looking for this like coveted Halloween costume that all the kids in town are talking about, and they can't find it anywhere. So the last shop they go to, this guy like opens up like a back door with like that reveals a room. It's like a hidden passage, reveals a room full of costumes, and they pick out their costumes. They're all excited, and the guy starts explaining it to them, or explaining something to them, and then like someone busts through the door and he has to like rush them out, and the guy's just like, the shopkeeper's like, oh, don't just don't tell anybody where you got the costumes. So there's like hints and teases at some lore of like something big about the costumes, and of course that's how they get their powers. So in the game, as it would normally in any other game, you get your powers. There's a tutorial. It's like, oh, cool. Okay, this is what this game is. In the show, they kind of run into this monster who like chases them down an alley, and they end up fighting the monster off. And their powers are activated because they're panicking and freaking out, and then it activates, and suddenly they're a giant robot, or like a giant Abraham Lincoln Jr. or whatever. And so they fight the monster off and change back to kids. And what's kind of neat about the show is that they actually show the kids kind of coming to grips with what that means. So they actually it's the 4 kids who are all the 4 kids from the show, from the game as well. It's like Lucy, Emmett, and then the 2 siblings that you play as. So like some of the interaction is like, okay, like what just happened? Like what does this mean? Like, and there's like training sequences where they're trying to figure out like how it works. There's like a part of an episode where they're talking about like, I feel like a lot of times these shows, they handle the element of like, should we tell someone a very specific way? And I feel like this show handled it differently, where like one of the kids is all like, we should tell our parents. Like, this is way too big for us. We should just tell somebody. And they try to, and no one believes them. But I think it's interesting, like, the morals, but also just the way the kids act is, like, slightly different from what you would normally see in a show, where they're very cognizant of, like, what is happening. And I think they react in believable ways.
Okay.
Which is interesting. So where I'm at now, I've just seen like the reveal of like the big villain. They like had to sneak into like their hideout, and so you see kind of what the general like end goal for the villain is, and so that's been revealed. And so yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. It seems like it's building up to like Halloween night, and that's when the monsters are gonna come out and like steal the candy from the town.
Sure.
I'm pretty pleased with it right now. Like okay. I think it's, I don't know, it's good. Okay. I'm curious to see where it lands. I'll probably have more to say later.
Yeah, for sure.
But other than that, in my spare time, I've been diving back into Game Maker Studio 2, which is something I bought like over a year ago, and I played around with it for a bit, and then I just like got very busy and haven't didn't really touch it. But I've been playing around in that more. I've been like making my like just recreating like a Picross game basically. Just kind of like learning the ropes. So that's been fun. Like I like will I'll get into spurts where like I program like for a few months and then stop. But I would like to try to like kind of keep at this as like just a hobby kind of thing and see where I get with it.
Yeah, I
It's been
remember
cool.
playing one of your little things that you made about like 3 screen thing one time. I
Sure.
don't remember if it was in. I think it was in Game Maker. I think, but
Yeah.
I don't remember
I
specifically.
think I think I know what you're talking about because I think it was like a year ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, it's cool.
Okay.
It's fun. But other than that, so I have been playing some games. We can start with the the thing that I played that is not well that the opposite of the most recent. Whatever. I
Okay.
can speak. I can say words.
English.
Yes. So I had this realization like a few nights ago, and I was like, I can't believe I live in a post Kingdom Hearts 3 world.
Oh yes.
Not only that, I can't believe I live in a world where like I have finished that game. It's a weird feeling to have. And it's been like it's been over a month since I finished Kingdom Hearts 3, and that's crazy to me. But I did it. It came out. I beat it. It
Is
I
does
I had some fears about that game like going in. I was really nervous about a lot of different things. I mean, probably for obvious reasons. Like, it's been a long time coming. I'm a huge fan of the franchise. Nervous about expectations and if it would live up to anything or like if it would drop the ball with the story. I think I'm not. I don't. So here's the thing. Like, I think as time has as I've had the month to kind of like settle on it and think on it, there's a lot of things about it that like surpassed expectations. Most things like kind of surpassed expectations and really just I was completely satisfied on. But there are a few things that I am pretty disappointed with, and I do think like kind of leave a little bit of a sour taste. Not too much. I think overall, like I'm pretty thrilled with Kingdom Hearts 3. Like I can't, part of me can't comprehend how it was able to be that good.
hmm.
It is by far the best playing game,
Good.
and I think one negative side effect to Kingdom Hearts is like the progression of how those games play means that some of the earlier games like don't age that well. Like going back to the first Kingdom Hearts game is not easy. Kingdom Hearts 2 is aged pretty well. I think that game's still pretty easy to go back to. But like going back to them after Kingdom Hearts 3 is probably pretty rough. If I
Yeah.
had to guess. It is so sublime. Just playing that game is so amazing. The way everything controls, the way it all feels, like the Disney ride, like special abilities you have is awesome. The way the game looks is ridiculous. Being in the Toy Story world, the Frozen, the Frozen world, straight up, like there's a cutscene that is literally just the Let It Go sequence
Oh. Huh.
from the movie, but there's like a couple like cuts where it shows like Donald, Sora, and Goofy just like in awe or just going, "Oh, amazing!" Like just like having reactions to Elsa like creating an ice castle while she's singing,
Right.
which is like oddly hilarious and kind of the most amazing thing. But it shows just how unbelievably good that game looks visually that you can watch that sequence and go, I can hardly tell a difference between that and the movie. And if you do a side by side, there are clear differences, but it's not like that large of a gap,
Right.
which is pretty insane. And I think the same can be said, especially about the Toy Story world. I mean, how good those like character models look is pretty insane. It's it's unreal.
Good. I would say I think the coolest looking world was just kind of how. So the Pirates of the Caribbean world.
Yeah.
How was that translation between that kind of real life?
It's again, it's like I can't believe how good it looks.
Right. Yeah.
Because we've definitely like, I think like Donald and Goofy in that world look so good. It's scary, like how good they look
Mm-hmm.
and how well they fit. I think some of the actual pirates characters themselves, most of them look pretty good. There's a couple that I think their hair is kind of off and they look a little like strange, but like it's a pretty visually stunning world and I can't wait. Like I beat it and I haven't gone back to it yet, just being busy, but I want to go back and like kind of, if not 100% it, like play more in those worlds. And the pirates one is crazy because it's so open. Like the actual playing the story content of the pirates world, it's maybe like an hour or two, probably 90 minutes to 2 hours, but you can hop on a boat and just sail around. And there's like like the map is littered with like islands and places you can go to, 90% of which you don't even touch going through like the story content of the pirates world. So there's a ton of stuff that I haven't even seen in that world specifically, let alone some of the other ones. And granted, I say a ton of stuff I haven't seen is probably mostly like collectible stuff and like finding treasure chest. I've seen most of the story content. Maybe aside from like the secret boss I haven't fought or some of the other things. But yeah, like that world is pretty great. Like I was pretty happy with it. Like I wasn't too thrilled about, oh, we're doing pirates again. But it makes sense that they did that world considering like I'm imagining that they were like, okay, we're seeing Assassin's Creed and some of these other like boat mechanic games. Like they probably wanted to do something similar, and Pirates fits the bill.
Sure.
And I think it can, like the boat combat like works really well. I actually think I like it better than maybe some of the other games that do it, just because it's a bit more simpler, or it's a bit simpler.
Yeah.
So there's not like a ton of things you have to keep in mind. It's just like, yeah, I'm steering the boat and firing at other boats. Like that's all I need. I'm good. It's kind of like Disney Infinity, where it was like a very stripped down version. This is maybe a little better than that. But I was totally fine with like a stripped down version of that, just because I don't want to be like I don't want to be commanding a bunch of different elements of a boat. It doesn't feel great,
Right.
at least for me. Other than that, so story wise, pretty happy with it. The last like 6 hours of the game is just completely insane and bonkers in the best way. There's definitely, I think I talked to you, there's definitely some moments of this game that feels like Kingdom Hearts 3 is the the MGS4 of the franchise when it comes to fan service.
I was gonna mention, how's that? This might be a slight spoiler, but how's the Sora microwave scene? Is that pretty powerful?
Oh, it's pretty good. Yeah.
Okay, good. I just Sora climbing through and.
There's a sequence specifically, and I don't want to say too much about it. That is like, it's kind of like pretty, when you get to the final world, it's pretty like, well when you get to the final world through the gummy ship, it's pretty early in that sequence, but there's a way that they kind of tie in the mobile game to this. That is like, it's pretty remarkable. I was like completely beside myself when it happened. I was very, yeah, it was crazy. There's some really great, there's a great just like gauntlet of boss fights leading up to the end. The final when it's just you and the big bad at the end, that is stellar. Just like Kingdom Hearts firing on all cylinders. Like the climax you want for this series, or for this trilogy, I guess, or not, well, for this saga, the Xehanort saga, as it is.
Yeah.
In the trailers, they show this world as like Scala ad Calum or something, is I think how you pronounce it. It's like the very like the bright like white buildings, almost like castle like. That's kind of like one of the final areas you're in, and it's so cool looking. And when you get there, it's like, oh my god, this looks incredible. It's such like an interesting design, and the boss fights that follow are really cool. I like them quite a bit. I think one of the things about Kingdom Hearts is definitely when you get to like the final boss fights, especially the final one, they're always just crazy. This one definitely fits the bill for sure. I think the game as a whole is probably a bit easier than past Kingdom Hearts, or at least that's what it seemed like to me.
Mm-hmm.
There's one sequence in the final boss I was having some trouble with, but it didn't give me too much. Like I got past it pretty quick.
Okay.
My only See, I don't want to talk too many specifics because the game is still pretty new, and I think I told you about the secret ending, which is just completely insane
Yeah.
on so many different levels. Um, some of my major and the soundtrack is unreal. Like oh my god, what a soundtrack!
How's that main theme?
The
Speaking
the
of
main so both themes. There's a main theme and an end theme, both of which are great.
okay.
The main intro theme definitely took some time to grow on me a bit. But I'm a big fan. And then one of the things that recently I've been listening to more is like the final boss theme is also great. So yeah, generally like overall like really good vibes. Ending that game, it feels strange having it be over. I will say I feel like Dragon Quest XI, The Last Guardian. Final Fantasy 15 to some extent, like these were games that I waited a long time, and when I finally beat Dragon Quest 11, I was like over the moon.
Yeah.
I was like, this is one of the best games I've ever played. When I finally beat The Last Guardian, I was very like, oh my god, this isn't like what an incredible story. It was so worth the wait. When I finally beat Final Fantasy 15, like I had this very like strong like emotional reaction to it. Kingdom Hearts 3 not as much.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Maybe surprisingly, I still like if I were to review this, it would be like low to mid 9s probably, no, it'd probably be like a mid 9, like a 9.5, 9.6 or something like
still
that.
Pretty great.
It's still pretty great, but it's not a 10.
Okay.
But I think there are some things that hold it back for me. One, I think the thing specifically that kind of really just like sucked, I guess. Is throughout the series, like Kairi has been this character that has just been in the background, like has just had no real significance almost at all, with maybe a couple key points aside. But a lot of the build up to this game was that Kairi was going to become a Keyblade wielder as well, and that was really exciting because it meant, oh, maybe Kairi will actually be important again, like maybe she'll actually be in this game, like, and actually be doing things, and that just does not happen. It just felt like she was yet again like there was literally a sequence where like someone refers to her as just being like a pawn and literally nothing else, and like it's kind of a bummer because it's like, here's this character that, I mean, at least in the first game, like there was stuff to her character that was kind of cool, and like it just felt like she's been thrown by the wayside ever since. And
yeah, that sounded rough, when Mickey said that, just calling her out, saying, you're just a pawn, you're just terrible. I'm like, geez, Mickey, like settle down, man.
That was a bummer. There's some other like kind of plot points that I don't feel like that like are kind of built up throughout the game, but it doesn't really feel like we go anywhere with them, which was kind of weird. And it doesn't even feel like it's something that's being set up for future games. Which there clearly are things being set up for Kingdom Hearts 4 or whatever comes next, which I am excited about. But yeah, it's there's just some like story beats that kind of like side stuff that's like, okay, there was like 4 or 5 cutscenes dedicated to that and then nothing, which was weird. I'm trying to think of what else. Yeah, I don't know, like the Kairi thing really bugged me a bit. There's some other stuff like that where it's just like this. I felt like we were building to something and then nothing happened, and that was weird.
Yeah. The
game's heavy on the fan service, which I'm totally okay with. I'm completely fine with that.
I feel like you have to in a game.
Yeah,
like
you have to be with that, especially with that game.
Mm-hmm.
I think the resolution. So all of the Kingdom Hearts games have been building up the Xehanort Saga. Is what they've been calling it. Without being too specific, I think the resolution is pretty good. I'm pretty satisfied with it. There's some stuff about it where it's like, all right, like, okay, but the way they tie in the chess game. So if you've seen some of the trailers, there's the 2 characters. It's like a young Xehanort, and a young Master Ericus, who I don't think you know anything about who that is.
Nope.
But it's the two of them playing chess, like, throughout the trailer. I don't know if that rings a bell for you.
I don't think so.
Okay, so they're playing, like, basically some of the trailers, it shows them playing chess as, like, interspersed with, like, different parts of the trailer. And the way that's tied in to, like, the story is, I think, really cool. And it was not something I expected to have any relevance at all to, like, any story beats, but it kind of comes in there at the end, and I think it was done pretty well. So I was pretty satisfied with that.
Okay, good.
So yeah, I'm happy with that game. We have marked down here, so like Nomura mentioned some like maybe paid DLC coming out at some point. I don't know. I'm curious what that would be.
Episode Goofy.
Episode Goofy.
Episode
Oh my God.
Donald.
The thing that would suck, yeah, is if it was like, here's DLC. So like in the game, you'll get a couple cutscenes where like Axel and Kyrie are literally in like a hyperbolic time chamber, basically, and like quote unquote training. You never see them train at all. You only see them sitting on a rock looking at the sunset talking about their training. And so like it would kind of suck if like DLC was just like, yep, now you get to play as them training. It would be cool to play as them.
Yeah.
And I would be excited about it, but it'd be like, all right, are we just doing the Final Fantasy 15 thing?
Right.
So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what to expect from that. I guess it would be cool if they had like some story DLC that expanded upon the secret ending. Or if they went that route, I mean, God, like, I wonder if it would be too much for them to make a new world. That's probably out of reach, I would guess, because the worlds are pretty expansive this time.
Yeah.
I don't know what to expect.
I was trying to think of like, new animated Disney movies that they haven't included that I guess could be in there.
I just wonder, the process for that's probably way too complicated.
The only thing I can think of is
the DLC.
The Incredibles, maybe. That's the
Yeah.
only thing I could think of, I guess.
Well, so they have like Big Hero 6 in it though, and so I feel like the kind of open city environment superhero team.
Sure.
I feel like that's kind of taken, and the Big Hero 6 world is really cool. There's actually you kind of get some Versus 13 vibes in that, honestly. Like, it's a little weird. It's something, but it's I really like. Yeah, the way all the worlds I really enjoyed a lot.
Okay.
Quite a bit. So.
Good.
Anyways, so that's Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. I mean, I was even just thinking, like, I guess Dream Drop Distance was the last even just Kingdom Hearts game minus all the collection and stuff. Is that right?
So, I mean, so there was Final Chapter Prologue. It was like the 0.2.
Okay.
Where you played as Aqua.
But that was actually like a new thing, not a...
That was a new thing.
Oh, I thought it was just like a re-release of something else or whatnot.
I mean, it came packed in with the 3DS remaster.
Okay.
But that was a new thing.
Okay.
And that was actually on the Kingdom Hearts 3 like engine, so it was part of the. It was like where some of the comparisons to Ground Zero.
I was getting ready to say it sounds like Ground Zeroes.
What was the other? Oh yeah, one other thing I want to say. So I don't know how I missed this, and I need to go back at some point to see where this actually happens. But apparently, so there's like some late title cards in this game, and apparently, like early in the game, it straight up throws up a Kingdom Hearts 2.9 title card.
Oh jeez.
But I totally missed it, and I don't know how I did. And I've seen people joke about it and say, haha, that was such a funny, like, tongue-in-cheek moment. But I have no idea what they're talking about because I don't remember seeing it. It's weird. Anyways, what do you got?
So I've got 3 things on my list, mostly probably just shootery things, I guess. First one I kind of want to jump with is Apex Legends.
I played a round of this.
Yes, you did. So this game really came out of nowhere. So I think it was
literally.
Yeah, so I think maybe it's been out for like a month, maybe, but I want to say it was like the day after the Super Bowl it got announced or something like that. So I think it was maybe like Super Bowl Sunday, like middle of February, beginning of February, that it got leaked that Respawn's working on a new Battle Royale game in the Titanfall universe, and it's like out tomorrow. Like they're going to reveal it, and it's going to be out tomorrow. And that was basically what it was.
Yep.
So influencers kind of let it leak, as they kind of do, I guess. But because even like when the game got released, there were other outlets that had hands-on and went to an event and stuff like that. But yeah, so I first saw it, wasn't like, I don't know, the art style, didn't really care for it, kind of looked a little more lighthearted, cartoony kind of thing. But really getting in there and playing, it's basically what I'll say about it is the pitch that I would say is it is the battle royale game for single player gamers. And what I mean by that is I have won maybe like 10 times maybe total. I have been the Apex champion, and I have not talked to a single person before. And a big way how that happens is the ping system. So it's like, oh, I walk over here and, oh, hey, here's this like really rare item, but I don't need it. Maybe somebody else wants it. And you can ping that and somebody will go like, oh, dibs, I want that. And it's all through like the in-game dialogue. So even before that, you do start with, you're automatically in a team of 3. Mm-hmm. So no matter what, you're going to be matched up with 2 other players. You can talk to them or not. It's going to be random, stuff like that. And of course, there's like party you can go into.
And so instead of like the last man standing, it's the last squad.
Basically,
right?
yeah, basically. And Fortnite and like Blackout has that too, where you can do solo to be the only person, but then there's also like duos and squads and stuff like that you can do that too. But yeah, so you can communicate really well, and everything with the ping is on the R1 button. And so even if it's, I look to the left and I see this area that I want to go loot, I can hit R1 and your character will be like, oh, how about we go this way? And it kind of communicates to your team, hey, let's go over here. And it's just so great how seamless that it works is that if I point in a direction and I press R1, it says, let's go over here. But if I lock my sights on an enemy, my iron sights like on an enemy, and then I press R1, it'll immediately go enemy over here.
Yeah, I was going to mention, like, that's kind of one of the cooler things, too, is, like, it's, a lot of this stuff you can be on a mic and say, hey, there's an item, right here if you want it. Mm-hmm. But with, like, the cool thing with the enemy is, like, it's one thing to say, hey, there's an enemy over there, and it's another to say, hey, boom, and then immediately there's, like, a lock-on thing on their game, and it's like, hey, that's where they are.
Yeah.
And they can see it.
Yeah.
Instead of just hearing it. Like, that's cool. And when you were describing it to me before I played it, I was like, oh, that actually is, like, a really neat and smart feature to have. I only played one round, so I didn't really, like, play too much with it. And I don't know if I'll go back to it. I'm not into that.
Yeah.
I mean, shooters in general, like, Titanfall I love, but, or the campaigns I love.
Yeah.
But, like, I can appreciate it. Like, just from what I played, I can definitely appreciate a lot of the stuff that's going on.
Yeah, so there's no titans, there's no wall running.
There is those big dinosaur-looking things in the background, though.
Right, yeah, so they're not actually, like, you don't actually get to interact with them or anything like that. One thing I thought was really nice, that this game is out, it's not in early access, to not have a beta. Yeah. I feel like even Fortnite is still in early access. and I was actually going to say that I was going to mention maybe when we were talking about Fallout 76 that I feel like games use that like as a crutch kind of now to be like, oh, something's going wrong. Oh, but it's still in early access,
Sure, totally. And like Fortnite was supposed to be like out of early access last year.
Exactly.
If I remember.
Oh, yeah.
Correctly.
Yeah. But yeah, so the map is pretty big, and the max team, or whatever, so there's 3 person on team, and the max is 60 players, so it's not 100 like some other Battle Royale games. It is kind of normal where you jump out of the ship or whatnot, and so when you start the match, actually somebody is designated the jump master. And so like that, you can launch out your own and completely do your own thing, but if the jump master launches, your entire squad goes as well, and you can separate off at any time. It's a lot more fast paced, I think, than Fortnite and Blackouts, and that's something I love the fast pace. That's what I really love about the Titanfall games. It's just so easy to communicate without saying a word.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the weapons that you do pick up and kind of gear are very Titanfall-esque weapons. So a lot of the, submachine guns, assault rifles, sniper rifles, they are very much the Titanfall 2 weapons. But you can get all your different attachments that, are mostly in the normal game. You have the frag grenades, are the exact same as Titanfall, the Arc Star, which is like the exact same, that kind of stuff. And you do have like your armor, level 1, level 2. You get your backpack. One thing I don't think the other Battle Royale games did. So let's say I grabbed an assault rifle and I find an extended magazine. I find the scope that I like, and I find, some other attachment for this gun. If I went later in the match and found, oh, okay, here's this other assault rifle, but I want this one instead, you would have to like take off your attachments for that one gun, then switch your gun, and then put those attachments back on, where Apex Legends just does it automatically. So if you have an assault rifle scope, you have an assault rifle extended magazine, stuff like that, right when you switch weapons, that, all of those attachments are just automatically on your new assault rifle. So it's a lot of, I guess, is the term they use, quality of life improvements.
Yeah. I used that term at work the other day.
Oh, yeah.
I was messaging someone. I was like, I didn't remember what we were talking about, but I was like, yeah, hopefully we can get a lot more like QOL
Yeah.
Things or something. And she was just like, what? And I was like, oh yeah, quality of life.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, what?
It's like, it's not a side note.
I was like, sorry.
This is also a side note. We were talking about, I can't remember what I was talking about, but I ended up using the term spiritual successor once. And everybody was just like, what? I'm like, yeah, but it's like, somebody making something like they like, but they don't have the rights to it, and they make something again like it. Like, that's like a spiritual successor, but it's not like the actual sequel, but it kind of is. No one understood what I was saying. It's gaming terms, I guess, we take into other things.
I guess so.
But so yeah, the other big thing that separates this game a lot is everybody does start with absolutely nothing. Right when you land, you have your fists basically, but you do have the Legends part of the Apex Legends name, and so there are 8 Legends right now. 6 of them are free, and 2 of them are paid. And you do have, and again, it's a free-to-play game. I have actually amassed, I'm about like level...
How much are the 2 characters?
So I think by number-wise, I think they're $7.50 a piece, if you're actually talking like physical dollars. But I'm about maybe like level 25 or something. And every time you level up, you get some of the extra like in-game currency that you can use to buy the Legends. So... Right now, even at level 25, I have amassed enough of the in-game currency that I could buy one of the, locked players, I guess. But I haven't done that yet because I want to see what other Legends they come out with and then maybe spend my in-game money on those instead.
So as soon as you buy one, they'll put out another one that you're like, oh, but...
I know, exactly. And one thing I actually like is that I don't know about but... it's definitely not necessarily pay to win. So the 2 that are locked is one's called Caustic and the other one is Mirage. And so Caustic is kind of this bigger, kind of more of like a defensive character, but he's very much a trapper where he like lays down traps and gas and stuff like that. I think it's kind of considered like he might be like the worst character in the game.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, with those 2, do you see one, do you see a lot of people playing as them, and 2, do you get a sense of why those were the 2 that were locked versus the others?
Not necessarily. So the other one,
or was it just random?
Well, the other one, Mirage. So I mean, there's a lot of people that are pretty high level that clearly, if I'm at level 25 and I've had enough in-game currency to buy one of the characters, I think clearly other people have.
Yeah.
Most people that I see end up using Mirage, who is the one that can do kind of like a hologram. And so it's a hologram that goes running out in the middle and stuff like that. And he can like turn invisible or something like that too. So like when you get downed, it like shows like a decoy out, but when your guy turns invisible, there's just like a decoy of your downed character. Some people use him fairly often. I see a lot of Mirage, I would say, but not as much as the other main heroes. So I mean, I could probably run through a lot of them. So they do have like defensive, like they kind of clearly
I
mark
played
that.
the robot guy. He's got the grapple hook,
So
right?
I think he is my least favorite.
Okay.
I am absolutely terrible with him. So that guy is Pathfinder,
Yeah.
and he might have the most. I guess we use the word charm or whatever.
Yeah, he's in the tutorial.
Yeah, his lines are the best. He does have a grapple hook, and it's kind of the same grapple hook from Titanfall, Titanfall 2. And the thing is that if you should watch some compilation videos of like Pathfinder kills, like it is bonkers how like people can use Pathfinder doing all this weird stuff. But everybody has a passive, an active, and like I think they call it an ultimate ability. So, what's one who I can think of? So let's say, Bloodhound is one of the guys, and he's more of like a tracker. So his passive ability means something that you don't have to activate, he just kind of automatically does. And so one of those things can be like, oh, okay, here's maybe footprints or something like footsteps, like how long ago this was. And that just kind of is automatically in his HUD that you get to see, oh, somebody was here just a little bit ago, and you can call that out with your ping or something like that. While then his other active is a cooldown that is on L1, and everybody has one too. But like Bloodhound kind of sends out like a sonar to detect enemies around you. But then you also have your ultimate, which you can probably usually end up only using like once, maybe twice a game. But then of course like that's kind of like your big ability, and that's like where the Bloodhounds is where you can like kind of mark enemies easier, and your guy runs really fast and such. So those like abilities, they really help the characters stand out, where you're not just kind of, oh, I'm just random guy, you don't really have like a loadout per se. But
yeah, and I mean, it seems like the game's been getting a pretty strong reception so far.
I think so. I mean, I've even heard video game people, who just kind of play Fortnite being like, oh, have you switched over to Apex yet? Like just in casual conversation that
I had, there was a friend of mine at work who like doesn't, we talk a bit, but like does not play video games at all, basically. Like very, very rarely will I hear him mention a video game. Like texted me during work, just like, you been playing Apex?
Yeah.
And I it took me a while to know what he was talking about.
Yeah.
Because like I knew, but also I was like, that can't be it.
Sure.
But sure enough.
Yeah. So I would say the probably best character in the game, I would say maybe the meta right now is probably between two characters, and it's Lifeline and Wraith. So Lifeline is like the healer.
Yeah.
But what's great about her is that her ultimate is actually just like calling in like a care package, and you can get like exotic and legendary, which is, so I don't call it exotic, but it's like yellow and purple tier gear, I guess, which is like the best kind of tier in the game.
Right.
So like hers works really well, and then plus she uses healing items faster, she revives people faster, that kind of stuff. Then she also has like a health drone that can heal you pretty fast. But then the other one being the assault character called Wraith. And so her ultimate is being able to like lay down portals, and like you can go from like one portal to another, so like completely jump across the map sometimes. If you have a Wraith player that lays down some good portals. And then her active ability, I guess, is, I almost consider it like, you remember probably the most famous Titanfall mission, the shock and awe, or cause and effect and cause.
You don't even have to say the mission.
I know.
Name.
I
know exactly what you're talking about.
It's kind of like that, where she can like phase in, like basically turn invisible for about 10 seconds or so.
So I mean, tangent, I guess. Do we know what's up with Titanfall? Like, I've seen mixed messaging since this game's been announced. Like, we know there's something later this year, it sounds like, that's Titanfall related.
I'm guessing that Titanfall related is like a mobile phone game.
Yeah, I think we talked about it like off air before.
But again, the only other
just thinking about that mission, just thinking about that campaign for Titanfall 2, like,
yeah.
What a bummer. What a bummer it would be if there is not a Titanfall 3 campaign.
And
or Titanfall 3 anything, I guess.
Is what I also love about that mission is, I'm trying to remember, but like I don't even feel like you fight that many enemies in that mission.
No.
Like it's really just platforming,
it's
and
one of one of the great one of
Yeah.
the one of the greats.
Yeah.
One of the greats.
Yeah. Very.
Such a good
It's
sequence.
like I almost consider it like the Ravenholm section of like Half-Life 2, where it's like the iconic section
Yeah.
where you get this brand new ability, like Titanfall is that, but then
So
Half-Life
do
is
you
the
think
gravity gun.
with Apex Legends, like obviously, like it's like from what it appears to be a massive success, at least in
I think
number of
so.
players. I'm sure they're probably making. I would imagine some people, or at least some people, are paying money, and it's probably enough of a percentage of the players to be doing pretty good for them.
There's
Do
YouTube
we?
compilations of people spending hundreds of dollars in opening
Great,
packs. Yeah. Yeah.
perfect. Um, do you think that like so? Okay, so I mentioned it before. There's like the dinosaur things in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Now I don't remember specifically where, but I know in Titanfall, like I remember seeing that before. Does
Yeah.
that you know what I'm talking about? Like I remember seeing like in the background of a level or maybe some Titanfall concept art or something. I don't remember where.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so like do we I know there's not Titans in this right now or maybe if ever, but do you think that like at some point we're going to get some more like Titanfall references to this? Like is there going to be some lore built out, do you think, or
I think so. So like technically this game takes place like 20 years after Titanfall 2 or something like that. Like,
Okay.
they've got a whole thing like that. I think there's going to be like limited time events. I wouldn't be surprised if a Titan shows up at
Yeah.
some point. Not like
I mean,
everybody
like
gets a
Thanos,
Titan.
perhaps?
Yeah, like not like everybody gets a Titan, but just like, oh, you know, if I'll say this, if I don't hear the words "stand by for Titanfall" in the next year, I might be a little surprised. I think that would eventually be coming, but I think it's smart.
If
that,
I don't hear those words, I'll just be sad.
yeah, well, I think it's clear
Just be
that
bummed out.
they were calling it Apex Legends, not Titanfall:
Oh, yeah.
Apex Legends, which I think Apex Legends is kind of a bad name, anyways.
It's not great.
Yeah,
I mean
'cause-
Apex is cool, like whatever Apex means.
Well, Apex is like one of the factions in
Yeah.
Titanfall.
oh
Yeah, so it's like one of the and
makes sense.
it's in there, but like when you play the multiplayer of Titanfall or Titanfall 2, there's like factions you can join, and like Apex is
Okay.
one of them. Stuff like that. But yeah, I think they've said that they want to try and I guess expand the Titanfall universe, and I think that will be the only thing I can think about that I don't know how much this goes into, but if you remember, other than Jedi Fallen Order, Respawn has an Oculus game in development.
Yeah,
Do you remember this?
I remember.
And I wonder, so this was before the EA acquisition that they were working with Oculus Studios on something. And I was like, are they going to partner with EA and make like, you know what I mean? I think that'd be super cool. If they, you have those helmets on, like you're a pilot and, like that's what you like, that's your
That'd be cool.
headset. Like, I think that would be super neat. I don't know if that's necessarily the case, but I think that'd be super cool. But other than that, I expect like there was like a Titanfall mobile game a few years ago, so I'm expecting probably something like that as the extra Titanfall related thing. But I mean, overall, I've been really impressed with it. It's kind of the battle royale game that's really gotten to me, and of course, it's your normal stuff where the circle starts shrinking after enough, and one thing that is a little bit different is that you can respawn people. So this is only like you can only
you can be like
respawn-
downed also, and
and
have some time for people to pick
yeah,
you up.
you can be down. Like you have like a knockout shield, so that like you can put up a shield if somebody's trying to shoot you and stuff like that.
But I mean, this is all good. Like this is good that we're having games that are coming out that aren't just like, yep, this is it. This is our version. It's like, no, we're doing something different. Like we're adding different mechanics.
Yeah, the
It's different. Like it's more than different enough from what it sounds like and from the little I played of it.
the only other thing I also want to touch upon is the more game industry kind of thing about it. So when this game was announced, like in their whole, PR thing about it, they were very much like EA had nothing to do with this game. We just made this game on our own. EA didn't give us, any input, like that kind of stuff. They were very
Okay.
much trying to stay away from, yep, this is an
This
EA
is our own
game.
thing.
Exactly. But I just thought it was very weird that they did that, and like they put out this game when Anthem was like a week or two
So
away.
is EA not publishing it,
So EA
or
is publishing it,
okay?
but apparently the development side, it was basically EA letting Respawn do whatever they want.
Okay.
That was the messaging. It was kind of weird to hear that from a company that is
Yeah.
now owned by Electronic Arts. But I think about it's so weird that Anthem was coming out. This is going to be their big new multiplayer kind of game. Was Anthem. Then
Mm-hmm.
EA releases this Battle Royale, but they still have the Battlefield 5 Battle Royale mode coming. And it just feel like,
Hey.
why didn't you like wait for, kind of a, I don't know. I mean, it worked out in Apex Legends' favor, but it was kind of weird why EA didn't kind of spread out some of this stuff, I guess.
I mean, I haven't understood a single decision by EA in a very long time.
That is
So
true. That is true.
what can you do?
Well, they put out a Mirror's Edge game, single player only, back in 2016. That was actually really good. That I liked. So everybody wants to hate on EA,
Uh-huh.
but you know what? I still say that they couldn't have done. EA makes single player games sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
sometimes.
When they feel like it.
Yeah, exactly. We're kind of running long. Not sure what
Yeah.
you want to get to next.
I could quickly maybe cross off some
Well, I figured we could maybe.
Devils or something. Well, so I figure RE2
We
I
could
haven't
talk.
finished yet.
Okay, I was
and
gonna say
apologize.
we could talk about that a little bit if you wanted to.
But if you want to wait for me to finish it, I can try to finish it soon.
Okay.
And it's not that long, right? It's probably not too like.
Even the A and B scenarios, I don't think so. And so
Okay.
once you do 1A, 1B, I don't. It's really not worth it to go back and do another the opposite A and B.
Yeah.
to
Yeah, I
me
mean, I didn't
personally.
figure it'd probably be that long, so I could probably maybe this week or something, if I have time. I could try it.
Okay.
So I feel like when we talk about it, we should probably talk about it like as we've both finished it.
Yeah, that's true.
So I've been playing a bit of a game called Crosscode. I'll be kind of quick. It's an indie game that came out I think fall of last year on PC. It's coming to Switch. It was actually in the Nintendo Direct. It's an action RPG based in a MMO. So you're a character in an MMO, kind of like Dot Hack or like Sword Art Online. Some of those other like games or animes where the story itself is based on characters in an MMO. It is single player. But there's a lot of like little small details in Crosscode that I think this game is super super polished, and a lot of it is just little small details, little like additions, little like effects or things that you notice that it's like, oh, that's really cool, that's really neat. They didn't have to do that. One of the things with it is so like when you like at the beginning you spawn into the like new player hub area. And when you do that, as soon as you spawn in, like 15 other little characters spawn in and start immediately running around. Which is like a super MMO thing.
Yeah.
Right? It's like seeing just player characters just running around doing weird things. Or just sitting there chatting with people. And so there's a lot of small details like that kind of add to this believability of like, oh, it is an MMO. But then actually the gameplay side, like, so it's action RPG, so it's live combat, like not turn-based or anything. It feels really good. You've got like a melee attack, and then you can also like shoot these like you're playing as your character's class is a spheromancer, so you're like throwing these orbs. So that's your ranged attack, but it also doubles as like a puzzle-solving mechanic. So what's really neat, and I'm like 7 hours in, so I think I'm past the first like main dungeon. It's a lot of it's really interesting because it is a very, I mean, single player, but it's following very like MMO style like traits, which is really cool. So like, characters like when you go into dungeons, the dungeons are instanced, so you don't have your party members with you.
And that's
like,
stuff that like I don't, because I would almost say like, oh, like Dragon Quest, that's MMO, like, right, like grinding,
Right, no.
like I'm not too
No.
well versed
So
on
like
that stuff.
so it's cool, like, you have a party member. Like right now I only have one. I haven't got any more party members yet. But like I went to the dungeon and they're like, okay, like this is instant, so I'll race you to the end. and then you beat the boss and you get to the end and everyone's like you, your other party member, like all these other characters are all gathered around and they're like sitting in the middle just watching the story cutscene that plays at the end. And so there's like some like self-awareness about like, oh yeah, it's an MMO. And I played a little dot hack before. And so I don't, maybe to be fair, I don't remember enough about those games and how they handled that kind of like story conceit. But I think the way this game is doing it is like really, really cool. And it has me excited. So like I've only done dungeons, but like, and I don't know, it could be the case that this doesn't happen in the game. But like there's a little piece of me that's like, oh man, like I can't wait to get to the raid. Or I can't wait to get to like this part where like this like MMO thing. Like I can't wait to see how they handle that because they've been handling a lot of the other kind of like conceits like really well. Like I've joined a guild already, like and in your menu you have like a I don't remember the name of it, but like they have like the instant like chat messenger thing.
Okay.
And so you have your friends list of just people you've met. It's really interesting. And the game's a lot of fun to play. Like more importantly, there's a sphere grid-esque leveling system. It's super cool.
Okay.
I've been like playing it off and on for a bit. I like it quite a bit.
Good. Like I know,
And
because
then-
I'd heard just so many things over the years about it, but I never really.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming too. It's like several years. I think it was on Kickstarter. Took them a long time to finish. But it seems like it seems like it's one of those games that like hasn't hit it big with like a large audience, but the people who know about it and who have played it like are in love with it.
So I will also admit to this. What is that game that was on 3DS that had the Sega and Capcom and Bandai Namco characters in it?
Oh,
You know what I'm talking about?
yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. I have
That's
no idea.
I always got that confused for some reason. Wasn't that Cross
Oh.
something?
I think it was Cross something.
And so I was, when people talk about Cross, I'm like, oh, they're talking about
Nope.
that, and I'm like, oh no, not till recently.
Oh, and so one other thing I want to mention about Crosscode, really quick. So the character you're playing as, there's some mystery about it, because they have amnesia. However, I know how that sounds, but they have they do a really cool twist on it that's like different enough that it's actually interesting. So instead of it just being like, oh yeah, it's a character who has amnesia, like whatever, it's actually it's a little bit of that, but it's also like, and they're silent protagonists too, or slightly. They explain it as like their voice chip modulator is broken in the game, so you have this like Otacon-esque person talking to you, like straight up like coming through keyboard and headset chatting with you, while you're in the game. And what he does throughout the game is he's trying to like fix whatever is wrong with like your player character that they don't remember and that they don't know how to speak. And so far in the game, like an hour in, he contacts you and he's like, hey, I've been working on some stuff and I've actually installed like a word. And so the first word he installs is just hi. And then the second word is like your name, which is like I think Leia. And then he like the most recent one he got installed for me is bye. And so like as I'm progressing, he's like teaching me like just simple words that I can then use when talking to people, or like that actually comes up in like story cutscenes too. So it's this interesting conceit of like there's amnesia going on, but it's actually, or like there's the silent protagonist angle, but it's being explained in like giving context in the world that makes sense, and they're actually doing something about it.
Yeah.
Which I think is pretty interesting. You don't see happen like ever. So I'm curious to see how that plays out as well.
Okay.
But I get the sense that I'm pretty early on, so I might be playing this game for a long time.
Yeah.
So anyways, and then this past weekend, I started Devil May Cry 5.
Okay.
So that came out Friday.
I played the demo, so I might have some questions and
Okay.
stuff.
So the demo is pretty early on. So I am on mission 5. At the beginning of mission 5, so I've done the prologue and the first 4 missions. So I have played as Nero for 3 of them, and I have played as V for 1.
Yeah.
So So Nero, you play as in the demo. He's got the Devil Breaker arm or the devil or whatever it's called. Um, that's pretty cool. Like the demo, I was kind of unsure how I felt about it, but now that I've had more time, like now that I've had a proper tutorial to introduce me to it, and that I've had more time with it, and I've got to experiment with some of the other ones that aren't in the demo, um, it's pretty cool. It is pretty cool. Um, I'm starting to unlock more abilities with Nero. Like the combat's opening up quite a bit. I'm having a lot of fun with it. So that's great.
Okay.
The opening like title card sequence I think I told you last night is
Right.
just it's so yeah, it's so perfect. It's it's just ridiculous. Yeah, so really enjoying that. Um, before I get to V, what are you said you might have some questions.
Well, I'm kind of getting into gameplay stuff later, but
Yeah.
so I didn't play the only for reference. The only Devil May Cry game I played was the what?
DMC?
How do we call it? Yes, DMC.
Yeah.
So that was the only one I played. It was free on PS Plus, like a year after the PS3 one had come out. So I never played like DMC 4 or whatever, and I guess Nero was a pretty big part of that.
Yeah, I played like the a little bit of DMC4. I think that's the one where Nero actually like that's his first game.
So yeah, when I was watching the Xbox press conference when this game got announced, I had no idea who Nero was.
And to be fair, he looks quite different in this game.
Right.
Like, he's got much shorter hair. I think he looks pretty different than what he looked like in 4. I only played a little bit of 3 and I played a little bit of 4 and then I played all the way through DMC. Um, so like I'm coming at it from a different certain perspective for sure. Um, but I'm not here to compare. Like what I played at DMC5 is just like it's pretty incredible. Like I'm really really liking it a lot. I played some of like the secret missions. I played 2 of those so far. And those are cool. Like those like there's basically parts in a level where there's like a light jutting from the ground. So you stand on it and you kind of rotate the camera and you have to line up like a symbol that's painted on walls or painted somewhere in the environment. And so you have to just adjust your camera from a certain from that specific spot you're standing at to make the symbol like line up and glow a certain color. And when it does that, you can access a secret mission. So the 2 I played, one of them was just like collecting 20 orbs in a certain time frame, and then the other was feeding like all of the enemies under a certain time limit. So I'm sure those will get more complicated as I go.
Sure.
But those were fun. And yeah, I mean the amount of just the range of abilities you get, it's fun to just kind of like be put in an arena and just play like fight some enemies and just see what you can do. Like that's fun. There is I think her name's Nico.
Yeah, she's the gal that drives the bus.
So she drives the bus.
Yeah. The van. I think it's more of a van. I think.
She's like your shopkeeper also, like doubles as a shopkeeper. And she's like I guess it seems like she's the one that created the like devil breaker arm that Nero uses. And she's something else. Like she's already like you can even early on like I can kind of tell like okay she's gonna be like a fan favorite kind of character. One of my favorite things is like so when you get through certain points in the level, I think usually it seems like it's before a boss fight. You'll find like a phone booth, and you can go in and you can call her up, and she'll just show up in the van. But what's really funny about it is like it's always in places that a van like could never possibly get into. But like so far I've seen 2 or 3 of them, and so far like every single time it's actually had like a dedicated cutscene really quick showing the van like just bust through the glass in a ceiling or charge through a wall and just like show up there, and it's like it's pretty good so far. Like I've really enjoyed that kind of added detail to it. So like for Nero specifically, the devil breaker arm, like each one does a different thing. So one is like sends out like a shot, like an electric shock blast, like in your immediate like just like immediately in front of you. There was one where like it's like a good like dodge mechanic where you can press circle and you like kind of like leap into the air and spin around a little bit, and you can use that to like dodge, like do air dodges and all kinds of crazy stuff. Very like acrobatic feeling. There's one you like shoot a rocket out of your hand,
Yeah,
like
that's the one they show a lot, I think.
yeah. So that one like goes and homes in on an enemy and just starts spinning around and punching them a bunch,
Hmm.
which is great. Especially like if you're wanting to like distract them.
I think that helps a
Um,
lot with like, when in my little 15 minutes of the demo and
yeah.
little short segments. That one helped a lot with keeping your combo up because it
Oh
was
yeah.
just like repetitively hitting. If you had to go run and attack some other enemy, it kind of kept your combo going a little bit, so it didn't fall right after.
And yeah, I mean a lot of this game is also just being stylish and building up your style meter and getting those S ranks and triple S ranks. So having like a wide variety of different things, like because it's from what I understand, like it is judging you on using everything. If you're doing the same combo over and over again, it's not going to build that meter up that fast. And so like being able to like distract an enemy with that fist like homing fist thing, I don't remember the name of it, but like using that and then going to another enemy and like comboing them into the air and then using like your grapple ability to like pull another enemy towards you and like slamming them down into the ground, like doing all those different things, like it's fun, it looks crazy, and it's also rewarding you, like so it all of it like feeds into each other really well. So Nier is cool, like I've been having a lot of fun playing with him.
How did you buy the deluxe edition?
I have not.
Okay, so you think you know where I'm
I'm
probably going with
assuming I'm
this.
assuming the live action cutscenes will be uploaded to
Well,
YouTube at
I
some
wasn't
point.
thinking
But
that because according to it sounded like the only way to get the Mega Buster Devil
oh, I
Breaker
forgot
was
about
to get the
that.
deluxe edition. So I didn't know if you
Oh,
have
yeah, I did
that.
forget about that. No, I
Yeah, you
didn't.
like run and jump, and this is a weird thing. Capcom right now loves to do crossovers. So I was
Yeah,
like, when do we get the
they
like?
were kind of.
When do we get the
I mean, they're kind of
Ryu
killing
arm?
it.
Yeah, I know. Like, when do we get the Ryu arm
Hmm.
Devil Breaker? That kind of stuff. I was just like,
Yeah.
oh, we're gonna get it at some point. Um,
Yep.
I don't know. Curious.
Um. So yeah, the last mission I played is playing as a character named V. So V is new in DMC5.
Okay, how is he not Virgil? This is my biggest thing. I was like, okay, you
So like,
have Dante.
I think the launch trailer, like, I haven't seen any, hint of Virgil yet, but like the launch trailer for this game, I'm pretty sure like shows Virgil for like a quick second.
Okay.
Um, so V is, and to be fair, like V is a very like mysterious kind of character. He's got familiars, and he doesn't attack directly.
Hmm.
So it's a very different style of gameplay. So basically, he's got a I guess a crow, I think. So it's this bird, and that's like your ranged attack. And then he's got I guess it's a panther, would be my guess. And it's these two familiars he summons. So the panther is your melee, and you're still hitting the melee button, but it's not V attacking. It's the panther, or it's the crow, or whatever. And so it's these animals, his familiars, doing the attacking for him. So he's got a cane, so you stand at a distance, and you're still pressing the range button or the melee attack button, and you can you can do combos, and they'll, as you're learning skills, your familiars will learn combos. Um, so all that stuff is the same. It's just familiars doing the attacking for you, but as like if you lock on, when you lock onto an enemy, it shows like a circular meter, and as you're hitting them, the meter is actually their health bar, so it'll lower. For V, when you're locked on, that meter will glow red. So one of the things with V is that his familiars cannot kill demons.
I've heard about that too. Yeah.
V has to be the one that lands the killing blow.
Hmm.
So what you do, and at first you don't have this ability, but you gain it very, very quick. You have to go up to them and hit like circle, and he'll like stab them with his cane and finish them off. So for the first like couple battles, you have to actually like run up to them and do it. But very quickly you get an ability that lets you warp to that enemy. And suddenly like V is very, very fun because you're standing there like looking cool with your cane from a distance, like commanding your familiars to just like juggle enemies into the air, like just knock them all over the place. And as soon as they glow red, you like warp into them Final Fantasy 15 style, like do a killing blow. Sometimes you can like combo that. You might have like a couple enemies like on death's door basically, so you like warp between both of them like really quick, like again very flashy, a lot of fun, feels good. He's got a third familiar when his double trigger meter fills up to 3 or something. You can press L1 and it summons this giant golem who comes around, and the golem just attacks enemies however it pleases. Like, you don't control him directly, but you can. I haven't got the skill yet, but you can get a skill where you just hop on its back and just hang on its shoulder, basically. Yeah. So I've only played one mission with him, so I haven't had his combat open up too much.
He seems really slow to me. Like, I just feel like if I play, you play as Dante, you've seen him, you've seen Nero. I just feel like playing as V just looks like a slog, and it's like, oh yeah, this is like we're doing something to change up the game, but like,
this is
gonna be
something different. I don't know that I get the slowness.
This is gonna be a hot take. It's like playing Sonic Unleashed and playing as Dante and playing as Nero are like the daytime sections, and playing the Werehog is like playing the V section. That's what it feels like to me.
Well, I never played Unleashed, but
it just feels like it's just a slog. Like, ugh.
I really enjoyed the one mission I played so far, is what I'll say. So I don't know, we'll see how it goes. I'm looking forward to playing as Dante. I don't know when that's gonna happen. But I liked it. I was a little I wasn't sure what I was gonna think of it going in. I kind of knew what it was, but I was like, I don't know, this might not be for me. But after playing at least one mission and kind of getting, especially once I got the ability to kind of warp into the enemy to take him out, to do the finishing blow, that helps a lot. Especially because you are required to do it. It definitely, it helps. But I started unlocking a couple skills for my different familiars, and that's definitely opened things up and made it a little quicker. So we'll see how it expands over the course of the game. But so far, I was pleasantly surprised by what I thought of it, we'll say.
Okay.
And I'm curious to see where his character goes. It's definitely very playing up the mysterious nature of it. So we'll see what happens. But
so
yeah, I'm curious where it's heading from here. I think there's 20 missions, but
I think the revving of Nero's sword, I think, is just such a cool thing.
It's very cool. I don't understand the mechanic.
I don't understand it. I don't understand looking at it, but it's just cool that you can grab it's like a motorcycle kind of handlebar or whatever. I just think that's kind of cool.
You just for just the vibe of the game itself, it totally fits. It's such a cool that game it's about being cool and looking cool and doing cool things.
Right.
And so it fits that I have that you've seen it in the trailers, but it's actually in one of the early parts of the game when he takes his sword and stabs it into the ground and starts revving it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah. It's great. It's great. Now the mechanic of actually revving the sword while in combat, don't understand that at all.
Yeah.
It's not explained very well. I don't understand it. I gotta read up more on it. But that's DMC 5. I'll have more to say later, but I like it quite a bit so far. And it's very it looks very good.
Yeah, I mean, as somebody even kind of with that, just watching, I really love that kind of broken glass, stained glass thing on the menus.
Yeah.
Especially if your HUD is in the upper left, and how it can kind of have the accents of the colors that are currently in the environment are shining through it a little bit. I think that's really
the only
cool.
thing that's weird is at the end of a mission, it does a freeze frame and then it breaks in the glass. And that's when it and then it does your the reveal of your scores and everything, which is cool. And I totally like that effect. The only weird thing about it is when it does the freeze frame, it kind of hangs there for just long enough where you go,
did my game stop?
Did it freeze?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the only thing. But it's, everything about that game is doing everything right, basically right now.
So basically, is there a part in the game where Nero is fighting some guy and a black wig flies on his head, and then Nero with the black wig on goes "not in a million years" and throws it off?
Oh, I'm waiting.
Nothing like that. Oh, okay.
I'm waiting.
Yeah, sounds good. But yeah, I've thought about going out and renting it. I haven't really done any other Devil May Cry's before. I liked I liked DMC. Of course, that is with absolutely no other
Yeah,
context. But
it's weird because like I know that I say it coming from someone who like this is gonna be the first like Devil May Cry game I finish other than DMC, first mainline one. I'll say like so like I played DMC and loved it to death. Like I really like that game a lot.
yeah,
But I understand that obviously it was probably quite different and a departure that people did not want. So that's fine.
sure.
But that's what I got to say about that. Really quickly, I played the Yoshi Is it Crafted World?
Yeah, I played that demo too. Yeah,
The demo.
Yoshi's Crafted World.
It was short. There's just one level, and then you got to like see like the mirrored level version of it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
where you like went backwards and searched for the Poochies,
Yeah.
the little dog. It's cool.
I like it's more
I plan on playing it.
It's more 3D than I thought it would. Would be. Which like you can throw things into the background and foreground when you go backwards you see the other backside of the level and stuff. I liked it too.
It's in the same way that I like Kirby's Epic Yarn a lot. I'm excited about this because it definitely it feels like it's kind of taking some of that kind of creativity angle of just. It's probably not going to be a difficult game. It's probably not going to be too terribly long. But my hope for it is that it just is very creative.
Yeah.
And like I plan on getting it, and I'll play through it, and I'll probably love it to death. Like my expectation is going to be a game that as I play through it, I just go, "Oh, that's so cool! Like what a cool idea."
Yeah, and I like just playing. It's gonna sound weird, but I've basically gotten to a point. Unless it's like a game that I really want to play or like really want to be engrossed in, I'm basically playing it on the easiest difficulty. Like there's just so many games. Like there's a lot of games where like even Resident Evil 2, I played it on easy, but then I went back and did all the hard stuff. I did that later. But I love that kind of sense that like I'm just gonna buy this game like Yoshi and I'm gonna play. Like I know it's gonna be easy, but it's gonna be just a little bit enough that like I'm gonna feel good about myself. That like I got all the things in this level, and
the same thing with like Epic Yarn as well. Like or any Kirby game, a lot of the complaints about those games, and I guess Yoshi probably to another extent is a lot of people complain that they're too easy or not that hard. And really, like my experience with those games has always been, getting through the main game is not that difficult. But if you want to 100% it, or you have the challenge levels that inevitably unlock afterwards, that's where a lot of the challenge comes in. And by that point, like you've gotten good enough at the game that it's fun to take on that stuff.
Yeah.
So like I'm excited for it. It's weird because it's coming out in a month that like DMC5 and Sekiro is coming out soon, which keeps like I keep forgetting about, and then I remember and I go, oh my god.
Yeah.
So it's coming out in a kind of a crowded month, but like I think it's right at the tail end of March. So I plan on picking it up and playing through it. I probably will play through it once, but I like the demo, and it's totally like my kind of thing. It is like absolutely something made for me.
And I got into this a little bit because there was when they put Yoshi's Woolly World on 3DS. That's kind of a game that I end up just playing when I just like I don't end up buying the full game, but it's like, you know what? I just want to play something that's really charming and bright and colorful.
It's also so
nice
like
music.
Like with RE2, like one of the reasons why I haven't like picked that up is like I played like the first hour of it when it came out, and then like Kingdom Hearts 3 came out basically, and that's like the only reason why I did not finish RE2 so far is because of that, because like that game took priority. Obviously. But the reason why I haven't gone back to it is not like anything against the game. It's just that style of game is something that when I go back to it, I want to be like I want that to be my focus.
Yeah.
And so like Yoshi is a perfect example, like you said, of something that like there are some games where like I really want to play them, but I'm just not doing it because I know that when I like if I'm gonna play it, I want to sit down for a while and play it and like get into it.
Yeah.
Whereas Yoshi or Kirby is one of those things where I can turn it on really quick, be in a level, be out of a level, and be good.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, cool.
I think that's about it. I mean,
yeah. I would say so.
Yeah.
Really quick though, I mean, we meant to talk about this at the beginning, but we can like really quickly run down, and maybe we'll talk and give updates and talk about it in the future.
Oh right, yeah.
So there's a website that we heard about actually through shout out to Easy Allies for the third time, but they had like a podcast sponsor, and I heard about this and I messaged you about it and we talked about it. And we set up a league. It's on fantasycritic.games. So basically, think of like football fantasy leagues, but it's for video games. And so we actually did this like mid-January.
Yeah.
So it was early in the year before any of these games came out. But what you do, you set up your teams in your league and you draft games instead of players. You draft games, and you get points from them based on how they review on OpenCritic. So it takes the OpenCritic average, and I think 70 points is the threshold. I think so. It's like
maybe
if it's above 70, so like let's say it's a 75, you get 5 points. If it's an 80, you get 10. I think it's any points above 90, you get like double points.
Okay.
Yeah, which I'm looking at it right now and it looks right.
Yeah.
So
right.
What I figured we would do, and we'll say this now, like I am very far ahead of Collin right now, but that is only because like of the 10 games that we drafted, 4 of mine have already come out, and none of his have come out.
Yeah.
So like, it's kind of hard to tell where we actually stand.
By the end of this month, I will have 2 that are out.
Yeah, and I'll still be at 4.
Yeah.
But you see, that's the thing though, is like you have 1 coming very soon that could very well be very like highly rated.
Yeah.
So we'll go over. So what you do, you also name you have your publisher name. So I guess I'll go first. I'll just read through my list and then you can go through yours.
Okay.
So I named my publisher just Penguinix, a spoof on Square Enix.
Yep.
So
well done.
And then so my 10 that I draft. Oh, and the way the draft works is like a snake order. So like I picked 1, then Collin picked 2, then I picked 2, then you picked 2, and
right,
etc. And then you also have a counter pick. So your counter pick is you pick one of your opponent's games that you think might not review that well.
Mine's a little.
Now, I don't know, Collin. I don't know if you maybe you just went for it, but I don't know if that was because you said you didn't understand it.
I didn't know what a counter pick was, so
okay.
I thought that maybe that was like choosing one of your games that would be on my list.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
So, anyways, and the other thing is we also get a $100 bonus budget.
Yeah.
So throughout the year, if a new game is announced, so let's say Mario Maker 2, that was not announced when we were selecting teams, we can take that budget and like put that money towards that game to bid on it basically, and whoever bids the most after a week gets that game to their roster. So we haven't actually done any of that yet, but we should talk about that in the future.
Yeah.
So my 10 are Resident Evil 2, Doom Eternal, Biomutant, Pokemon Sword and Shield, which at the time was just Pokemon Gen 8, Fire Emblem, Three Houses, Dreams, Devil May Cry 5, Kingdom Hearts 3, Metro Exodus, and Animal Crossing. And then we'll do our counter picks after we both go. So what was your team name?
So my team name was THQ Nordic, which I
have to say right now that name has aged very well.
I really like my name.
Or maybe it has aged that well.
I don't know.
Considering recent news.
Well, yes, yeah. That's gonna
be
a
good name though.
It's gonna be their new name after. What happened?
God.
So my games: Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice. I have Judgment, which is known as Judge Eyes in the Japan. Ori and the Will of the Wisps. I think that'd be kind of a really good game because Ori and the Blind Forest reviewed very well. I think it'd be very good. In the Valley of Gods, made by Campo Santo, now part of Valve. They made Firewatch. Mortal Kombat 11 comes out in April. Outer Worlds. Spelunky 2. I don't even know if that'll even be out this year. I don't know.
But the thing is, like, if it does, like,
yeah,
I could totally see that game reviewing very well.
I think so too. Spelunky was a big hit. Concrete Genie, which made by the team that did Entwined, Gears 5, and then Yoshi's Crafted World. And you can go over our counter picks. My counter pick was Devil May Cry 5 because I didn't understand what counter picks was.
I should have explained it to you.
Because it was just like right after I made my last pick. It was like, oh, make your counter pick. I'm like, I don't know. I guess I'll just choose that.
Yeah. So my counter pick was Yoshi's Crafted World, just because I felt like, even though we just talked and like we're pretty positive on it, I totally think that game's gonna like not review that great.
Yeah, maybe.
At least of the ones you have.
Yeah.
I really like. I think your list is strong. It's just like they haven't come out yet.
Yeah. So I am currently sitting at negative 18
Oh
fantasy
yeah,
points.
so that's the other thing. So your counter pick, you get minus points.
Yes, yes.
So because Devil May Cry 5 was an 88, he got minus 18 points.
Yeah.
It also like the site does it. I don't know how it does like projected points too, and I think that's based on like if a bunch of people chose a game, I think it like increases its popularity or something.
Okay.
And so like it does like projected points. So right now it has me at like 144 and then you're at 83. But the thing is like
Yeah, I see that.
when we first chose our teams or games, our projected points were equal. So like I don't know how it like changes
Yeah, I don't know.
over the course of the year, but it's interesting. It's a cool site, like and it's something we'll probably like do updates on over the course of the year. I'm curious to see how it goes, and it's fun.
Yep.
Well, great.
Man. But THQ Nordic.
Good God.
I think we're doing better than the current publisher right now. Am I
would
right?
say so.
Am I right? Yeah.
And like especially like man, Darksiders 3. What a disappointment.
Apparently they said it. They made their money back on it, or something
I'm
like
sure.
that, but...
There was clearly no budget.
Oh, well, I didn't.
Or no, that's mean. That's mean. There obviously was. Like, it was. It was just. That was
turning the podcast off now. We ruined it. 2.5 hours.
That was.
Yeah.
I didn't even finish that game.
Oh, I didn't even know you even picked it up.
Yeah, I rented it and I got it through GameFly. I think. Yeah. And it was the last GameFly game I got.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, the game was a bummer.
Darksiders 4, just to fulfill the prophecy.
Yeah, the thing is like it was enough of a bummer that if Darksiders 4 was announced, I don't know if I would be excited about it.
Yeah.
Which is too bad. What a God, man.
Yeah, that
if I had one wish.
I call it Nordic because that publisher makes absolutely no sense. They are buying IPs right and left, and the only thing I can think of is that they're getting these IPs. They must just be getting them for dirt, like just absolutely nothing.
I mean, what was Darksiders worth? I guess like. Well,
that was their big get, I would say, when THQ went up. But even like right now, they're buying like these weird IPs, games that.
They're the ones putting out Biomutant, right?
Correct. Yeah, that's a THQ Nordic game.
So like, I actually really am. I'm really excited about that game. I'm hoping it's good.
They're the ones.
I think it looks really interesting.
They're the ones that put out Darksiders War Mastered Edition and Red Faction Guerrilla Remastered Edition. These are the same people that do that, and there's a lot of games they've released that, like they were just games like that weren't on. They were on like PC and they weren't even on like PS3, but then they just release them, shove remastered and put them out, and apparently they're selling because they keep doing it. Yeah. I was trying to think of, because this was the hilarious thing. They bought the Kingdoms of Amalur license. Did you ever hear about this?
Did they really?
They bought the.
When was this?
But this was a few months ago, like maybe like September of last year.
I don't think I heard about this.
But the thing is what's hilarious about this is they bought the Amalur. I can't even say that word now. Amalur license. But they do not. They bought it from 38 Studios. You remember them?
Yeah, I remember.
But the thing is currently, from what I'm hearing, is they do not have the rights to republish that game. EA still does. So they bought the license to this franchise that they don't even have the license to republish the game that's already out.
Weird.
So I'm like, what are you going to do with this?
Make a new one?
I know, but
there was an MMO for that. Like, Kingdoms of Amalur. Like, I remember playing the demo and being really into it. And honestly, like, even the first, like, few hours of that game, handful of hours even, I really enjoyed a lot. I really liked the combat. There's a lot of stuff, like, going for it that I really liked. I think it just kind of petered out the further you went. And it just became kind of a very just plain, like, 7 out of 10 kind of thing.
Yeah. It was free on PS Plus once, and I played a little bit.
Yeah, like, the game itself, I actually liked quite a bit. And then was like, all right, this is okay. But I had a very strong first impression of it. And then a lot of things I liked about it, actually, the more I think about it. But it's everything that was surrounding it. It wasn't the game itself. It was the studio that whatever happened with the MMO, all the people around it was like a big garbage fire. But the game itself was
Yeah.
like, okay, it's all right.
Yeah.
Has some cool stuff going for it.
It was a very podcast game where you just kind of
Oh,
put on a
yeah.
podcast and you just go grind out. And I want to
Yeah.
say I remember it had some like really cool like super move or
Yeah,
something.
I remember the combat
it
being
was-
a lot of fun, and
Yeah.
yeah, it was cool.
But yeah, apparently they own the license, but they do not own the publishing rights to the original game. So whatever THQ wants to do with that, like, yeah, you should
Weird.
just read some of the stuff like that. They just buy so many just random IPs of like games
It's just
that
like
have been out
it's
forever.
so hard to keep up with like anything. Almost these days, it's like everything's always happening.
Yeah.
There's always new crazy stuff going on, and it's hard to keep up.
Yeah,
You gotta like the only way you're keeping up is if you're spending like several hours a day just dedicated to reading news, and it's like I can't. No one can. No one should.
so last year they bought the Alone in the Dark franchise. They
Great.
bought like it's just massive things. So like all in 2018 was stuff like 1940s, Aces of the Luftwaffe, Apocalypse, Bouncing Bandit, Clouds and Sheep, Devils and Demons, Dynamite Fishing, Farm Invasion USA. Like, and it just
Okay,
goes
so hold
on
on.
and on and on.
So these are all words that I recognize,
Oh really?
but I don't understand. Like, what are these games?
Oh yeah, these are games and franchises that now THQ Nordic owns. They own Second Sight, they own Time Splitters, they own Active War, Alone in the
Well,
Dark.
so I knew about those, but you were after Alone in the Dark. You were mentioning like
Oh yeah, all of these Aces of the Luftwaffe, Apocalypse, Bouncing Bandit,
Bouncing Bandits. I know nothing about.
Farm
What was the
Invasion,
other
Clouds and
Farm Invasion.
Clouds and
It sounds
Sheep.
like mobile games that are like.
So they bought it from Handy Games, which is a
Oh my
German video game developer based in there, but then basically the company was acquired by THQ Nordic.
Great.
Like, they have so much. It's like, oh my lord, they've just bought so many things. Like, and like, so like, remember Relic, who was the people that do like, are they they do the Warhammer games. Like,
Yeah.
back in 2015, they just bought the Impossible Creatures license from them. Like, what is this? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and they're putting out nothing really. They're just re-releasing all of these things. They own Goat
That studio-
Simulator, I guess.
I feel like that studio, like my perception of that studio has changed dramatically over the past several weeks.
They
The past
own,
couple weeks.
They own Carmageddon, and now I
Yeah.
guess as of this year they own the Outcast
Because
license.
at first, it was like, oh yeah, like the little guys that could, right? Like they were,
Yeah.
they were buying up some like Darksiders and some other things, and you're like, yeah, man, good on you guys. Like I hope it works out. And now it's like, what?
Yeah, they own.
Who is making decisions over there?
Like, do you remember Cinemora? That game?
Yeah.
Like, they own that
Yeah.
game now.
Yep.
By the way, like it's really nuts how they have like all of these things they own. It's like, why? Anyways,
Weird.
they still
What a
own
weird thing.
they still own De Blob and Red Faction and Darksiders and whatever. Anyways, I don't know what that company's doing.
I don't think anyone does.
They own more franchises than Sony and Nintendo, and they're doing like nothing with them. I don't know what they're doing.
What a weird
The
thing.
greatest ambitious crossover of all time.
Good God.
Yeah. Is that a
Well,
podcast?
Colin,
Is that how we do
That-
this anymore?
I think we still got it.
Okay.
It's been a pleasure as always.
Yeah, heck yeah, man. I enjoy getting back onto this.
So we talked a bit, and I guess we should never make promises, but
Uh-oh.
it sounded like we were both like pretty into like the idea of trying to do these more often, which I am.
I think so. I don't know if we're down to weekly yet, but
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, scheduling is as it is. Like sometimes sometimes things come up.
Right. For sure.
But when we can, I think it'd be fun.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe talk about Resident Evil 2 sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I'll try to. I mean, I think I'm into DMC 5 right now, but I don't think that game's that long either.
Okay.
Like I'm at mission 5 of 20, and I've played maybe like 3 hours of it. So like and I've seen a lot of people saying that they finished it already, like within the weekend. So I don't think it's that long. I'll probably finish it pretty quick.
Yeah.
But I think RE2 is probably next on the docket for me.
Yeah.
I think
Gotcha.
Crosscode's just. I think that's like a 60-hour game. I think that's just gonna be chipping away.
Yeah.
So I got to get ready for Sekiro. I've got to like start clearing out some games.
Ugh, too many. Too
Too many.
many.
Yeah, as the age old saying goes.
Yeah.
Too
Well,
many games.
Curtis, this has been fun, but I have to get back to playing Animal Crossing New Leaf on my Nintendo 3DS. Thanks.
Have you been playing that?
No, no.
Oh my god, I thought we were about to
That
like
was
do a twist
no.
ending
That
here.
was that was that was. Oh, you gotta. I'm almost getting ready to stop. I might just end it right there. That's the famous Reggie line. I don't know if you know that.
Oh.
The meme that is the Reggie.
But I
quote.
think the only way for us to end is to say that Reggie, you were a wonderful president.